welcome to the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. Welcome to Portimão, where the GT, GT4 and Prototype Winter Series will be racing this weekend. It's a nice and sunny Saturday afternoon, much to the delight of the teams in this paddock. Myself, Adam Weller, joined by Lucas Gajewski for this broadcast. We understand Chris McCarthy will be doing podium celebrations as well. So we've got a nice full media team with us to talk you through all the action that is coming this afternoon and indeed on Sunday. But it is a positive vibe in the paddock this morning, it must be said. We've been in Portimão here at this 4.665 kilometre circuit for most of the week. However, the rain has also been with us every step of the way. However, we've woke up today to intermittent sunshine, but at the very least dry tarmac. This circuit, almost 16 years old now, opened at the tail end of 2008, of course, a former host of the Portuguese Grand Prix down on the very south of Portugal, a little stone's throw away from Faro and indeed Portimão, the circuit from which, the city from which it takes its identity. Weather looking good both today and tomorrow, so we can expect a solid run, at least in terms of the conditions here at this circuit. As you can see, cars are on circuit, a much delayed qualifying session just coming to its end now around this circuit, but it will not be long at all before we go to racing conditions. Grid procedure in the next few minutes or so for the first race of the weekend, and that is of course the GT4 Winter Series, the GT Winter Series cars out there around this circuit at the moment. And what an illustration this shot is of the sheer elevation change here. Just coming out of turn 8, you see the crest of the hill in the distance. That's coming out of turn 8 into turn 9. The camera itself located at turn 13. The run from 5 to 6 on the far left of your screen. This circuit described as a roller coaster, described as up and down by our drivers. There's a good video about that on the Winter Series YouTube channel to tune into after today's broadcast. It is a favourite circuit of our drivers in this paddock. It is a circuit that is favoured for testing, favoured for race car preparation and indeed driver preparation, and of course as a top-class international racing facility. A joy to be back here at Portimão, a circuit that has consistently featured on the Winter Series calendar ever since the formation of the GT Winter Series at the end of 2019. Why wouldn't you want to be here? We are in mid-January at the moment and the conditions are gorgeous and perfect for racing. The GT Winter Series grid has grown quite significantly for this weekend. A grid that was formed of 16 cars a week ago is now scheduled to have 25 taking the start. That is hugely exciting. A little bit of a personnel change in a few of the teams in the GT4s and prototypes. Still very strong grids there though. It is going to be a brilliant day of racing action. The GT4s, as we said, will be up first, and in the GT4 category it is going to be a story of who can beat Schnitzelhelm, Joel Mesh and JMO Hartling, the championship leaders within the pro class of the GT4 Winter Series. 4 classes in that category: Pro-Am, and the Cayman Trophy class. So 4 classes, 3 of them based on driver rating, 1 of them for the Cayman Trophy cars that aren't quite GT4 spec, but run on the Nürburgring in the NLS series and other similar competitions. So as you can see, we have wonderful views of this circuit around our various cameras. And we do have 1 car off there. That looks like the GT3 Poland Lamborghini that's come unstuck somewhere towards the end of that qualifying session. Adrian Lewandowski potentially that is having a moment out there on circuit, but that shouldn't take too long to rectify. The Algarve team running their Mercedes around the circuit in order to check that all systems are go ahead of sending the GT4 Winter Series out for their grid procedure. Once the cars are on the grid, we're going to have Lucas Gajewski talking us through the paddock, and Lucas is absolutely invaluable as an asset to the broadcast because he knows this paddock extremely well and knows exactly who to talk to get a good story. And then, of course, we've got Master of Ceremonies, as he was in Estoril, Chris McCarthy, also in the paddock, and you'll be seeing him during this broadcast too. So on the grid for GT4 Winter Series Race 1, we're going to have, again, a nice variety of British cars, largely, at the front of the order. I've heard a lot of about British invasions in this paddock over the last few weeks, what with myself, Chris, and the entire Alpha Live crew here in sunny Portugal at the moment. But as you can see, the good news is the cars are heading out onto the circuit for this first GT4 Winter Series race of the weekend. If you did not join us in Estoril, the format for this category, 2 sprint races of 30 minutes apiece, and then an hour-long enduro on Sunday afternoon. So this will be an all-out sprint race. If you're familiar with the categories, the likes of the GT4 European Series or ADAC GT4 Germany, the GT4 class of British GT, whatever you are familiar with, you will know that GT4 is often quite the thrill ride when it comes to wheel-to-wheel, often fender-to-fender racing. And when the race length is reduced down to 30 minutes, that can sometimes amplify. We had a truly fabulous battle in Race 1 at Estoril a week ago in almost exact opposite conditions to the ones we are presented with here this afternoon. It was Jamie Day for Fawcetti Motorsport that took the first ever win in GT4 Winter Series history. That was for Fawcetti Motorsport, the team, upstart new team based out of the Snetterton circuit in Norfolk. Their very first race entry and their very first race win to go along with it. Jamie Day will be starting from P2 on the grid in this race, so we look forward to seeing how he does in this one. Always fireworks with Jamie Day up there at the sharp end, always a very fun driver to watch. And we are anticipating another scrum at the front of the order. Of course, at one point we had Leandro Martins for Racar Motorsport going from 4th to 1st, coming out of the Gancho chicane, among many other incredible racing sequences that we had from the GT4 cars last time. There's one of the newly entered BMWs heading out onto the circuit. We've got a couple of extra BMWs this weekend. The Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport entry. I think that is the car coming out now, the 127 machine. And we've also got the 187 of FK Performance, the team that enter Bruno Spengler and Louis Stern in the GT Winter Series, bringing a GT4 car along as well this time. And I understand it will be Rihanna O'Meara Hunt to take the start in the car this time. Rihanna, the New Zealand-based driver, she's making her first ever appearance in a BMW GT4 car this weekend. So she's excited for that. I understand she's driving an M4 GT4 at the Dubai 24 Hours next week as well, so she's going to get very used to Bavarian machinery very, very quickly indeed. So then first cars coming to the grid now, and once this grid procedure is completed, you can expect the race to get underway in fairly fast fashion. We have had a slight delay to the program with a red flag in qualifying. Understand all parties okay in that, but nonetheless red flags were displayed around the circuit. And we can now fully focus on the GT4 Winter Series. It's time for race 1 of our weekend.
So welcome everybody from the pit wall just as well for the first race of the weekend here in Portimão. Now this is an umbrella, and it used to be a very, very important piece of kit last weekend in Estoril, and let's be perfectly honest, it's been rather useful during the week of testing here in Portimão as well. However, I'm very delighted to report it's gone. The outlook is fantastic, not only in terms of the weather, but look at this, the first grid of the weekend forming up for the newly acquired GT4 Winter Series. It's been on the circuit just a week ago in Estoril for the first time. Now it's race number 4 of the season, and it's gonna be a first pole position for McLaren, car number 78, the very distinctive looking Artura GT4 Elite Motorsport entering the car, and Tom Leben put that onto pole position. Let me just quickly try to open the door. Yeah, being helped by the mechanic there. That's very useful because, of course, the door is very sophisticated. Tom, it's the first McLaren pole position in GT4 Winter Series. Are you enjoying your time so far in Portimão?
Yeah, it's good. I've never been here before, and my first time in the dry round here was this morning. So I'm still learning, really, but overall it's going pretty well.
Where does the big challenge on this circuit come from?
To be honest, sort of everywhere. It's quite difficult. There's lots of corners, there's a lot going on, but you sort of just got to do my best and see how we go.
All the best for the race then, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. So that's your pole sitter. That's Tom Leben in the number 78 McLaren. Of course, Zach Meekin will be in this car for the second race of the weekend, starting the day of action tomorrow on Sunday. Of course, everything's going to be live just as well. This is one of the cars that also featured at the top end of the grid last weekend. The Fossetti Motorsport Aston Martin Mikey Porter behind the wheel of that car, still being in a bit of a briefing just before the start of the race. So let's see if we can still grab a word with Mikey. Yes, I think we are good to go. Just a quick word there from Mikey. It's the first row of the grid for you, but you've got a very, very fast McLaren alongside you. What's your outlook for the race?
So what was that speaking on the radio?
What are your expectations for the race this afternoon?
Hopefully, obviously it's always best to try and pick up a win, but honestly I'm just trying to do my best, see what I can come up with, really.
Best of luck. Thank you very much. And I believe we've got Jamie here somewhere as well, or is he already gone? He's gone already, because we are only a couple of minutes away from starting the race. Now remember, in GT4 Winter Series we have various classes. There is the Pro class for professional driver lineups, and the first 4 cars on the grid, the McLaren, the Aston Martin, and these 2 cars just as well, they are entered in Pro class, whereas in the row behind we have the first car that's entered in either Pro-Am or Am, or of course further down the grid we have the Cayman Trophy cars just as well. So as always in multi-class racing, very, very exciting grid. And here we've got Max Huber, the young Swiss racer, in the third row of the grid, racing for the NM Racing team. Max, your expectation for the race this afternoon?
Well, I'm the first in AM and with the Pro-Ams behind, so I'm just stick with the guys in front and let's see if we can catch 1 or 2.
Thank you very much, Max. All the best for the race. Now, as some of the drivers have been pointing out, it's very, very difficult in terms of conditions, because there has been quite a lot of running on Thursday and on Friday, but until last afternoon, weather conditions have been rather poor here at the Autodromo di Algarve in Portimão, so drivers are still not too experienced when it comes to racing on this circuit under dry conditions. So it's certainly going to be very, very interesting. Engines already being fired up just ahead of the start of the first race of the weekend. GT4 Winter Series Race 1 live from Portimão, coming up next for you.
So then cars on the grid. Grid is clear. We are about to go racing for the first time this weekend in the GT4 Winter Series. 30 minutes of racing scheduled for you here. As you can see, the lights out on top of the gantry. I believe that means we will be rolling on the formation lap within the next few seconds. Everybody just as keen as we are to see the first racing action of this weekend. And as alluded to by Lucas Gajewski down there in the grid area, it is going to be all pro cars towards the front of the order. Not always a guarantee. We have some very quick drivers in Pro-Am, and in fact quite a few quick ones in the Am class as well. But as they go rolling on the formation lap, it will be the pro cars that lead us away, at least in the early going. But we'll see how things work out as this race evolves. So cars roll then through the first corner of this 4.6 kilometer circuit. And of course, if you were joining in with us last week, you'll know that there were 2 formation laps. Of course, given that the conditions this week are dry, we are only anticipating 1 formation lap this time around. It is going to be Elite Motorsports' Tom Leben starting from the pole position in that number 78 McLaren Artura. Tom Leben, the 2020 Ginetta Junior champion, has since gone up the single-seater ladder as far as the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, and now looks to be moving over towards the sports car side of life with Elite Motorsport, the team that he won the Ginetta Junior Championship with, the team that he won the GB3 Championship with. The rest of the order then, Tom Leben for Elite Motorsport on pole. On the front row of the grid alongside him, for Setti Motorsports, Mikey Porter, the number 19 car, set to start from second on the grid. Third place, Matthew Martins in the Racar Motorsport Aston Martin. And on the second row with him is Schnitzelam Racing's Joel Mesh, the number 11. Row 3, the first of the Am cars, NM Racing Team's Max Huber. He's joined by Charles Dawson, Pro-Am entry, CV Performance Group. Resume Racing's Andreas Höfler is starting from 7th place in the 77 Porsche. Alberto Di Martin of NM Racing Team is starting from 8th place. Row 5, the 187 car, FK Performance's Rihanna O'Meara Hunt, starting alongside Speedy Motorsports' Luis Liberal. That's an all BMW Row 5. Wimmerwerk Motorsports, number 24, Igor Kichin alongside Mikael Sander in the first of the Cayman Trophy cars, starting from 12th. 13th, Speedworks Automotive's Franz Linden, moving over from the Endless Summer Track Day events. He starts alongside Richard Wolff in the Resoon BMW. Willi Kuna in the 110 SR Motorsport Cayman starts at the back of the grid alongside Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsports. Martin Kroll off-pacing quali, but we expect him to be back on the money in the race. So then 16 cars lined up and ready to start the first GT4 Winter Series race of the weekend. We very much look forward to bringing you this one. It's going to be thrills and spills if Estoril is anything to go by. We ride on board there from the second row with the Schnitzelam Racing car of Joel Mesh. He has a grandstand view as we head towards the grandstand. Good to see some fans in there as well. Free access to these events. And certainly a free show is sometimes the best. The GT4 Winter Series will prove that then as we go racing for the first time this weekend. It is the Elite Motorsport McLaren on the front row with Tom Leben at the wheel that does not lead it into turn 1, because look at the Forsetti car, a brilliant start, very, very wide through the first corner though, taking track limits to the nth degree there. Mikey Porter side by side as they go through turn 3. Some cases 2 or 3 wide there. That was Richard Wolff trying to go around the outside of Mikael Sander. Over the crest they come, and Joel Mesh is now investigating his chances of getting past the Aston Martin. Into second place goes the number 11 car. Second place for the Schnitzelam number 11. So Joel Mesh up to P2 already, and now pursuing the Elite Motorsport McLaren. So Tom Leben leading the way. Good start from Leben from the inside. I thought Mikey Porter might have been able to lead after a lightning getaway. However, the getaway did not convert into a good run through the first turn. Very, very wide indeed. There you see some of the Cayman Trophy runners further back at the back of the field as everyone now drops down through turn 8 into turn 9. That is where you see those spectacular shots of the World Superbike or MotoGP machines going airborne in motorcycle racing. None of that in these cars. However, it is still quite the thrill ride to be in the driver's seat, or indeed the passenger's seat, and sadly I haven't got the chance to tell you that from experience yet. But the battle for the lead, Tom Leben joined once again by 3 other cars. It was a 4-car scrum this time a week ago in Estoril that really did kick GT4 Winter Series off at an all-time high, and we're getting it again here. Look at that run from Joel Mesh. Mesh looking for any way he can to get to the inside line, but Leben carries him off. It's Mesh then on the outside as they're side by side into the first corner. Joel Mesh surely can't hold it around the outside, or can he? Well, he's run it very wide. Leben with the inside line covers it off and is still our race leader. Mikey Porter says, I want a piece of this if you don't mind. Tried to get to the inside there but couldn't make that work. Joel Mesh then running in the second place position, or is he? Because it is the 2 Aston Martins, as with a week ago, that are proving to be the most exciting cars to watch in this early going. We've got a great shot here with Mikey Porter. Porter for Fassetti Motorsport running in the 3rd place, keeping an eye on the back of the green and black Mercedes for any chance to get through if he possibly can. Look at how it looks like he's just taking off in a rocket ship into the sky, and then we finally drop down. Remember that we're on a racetrack as he continues to pursue the top 2 in this race. Looks like Joel Mesh may be lining up an opportunity as they run through the first of the end of the 2nd sector now. Through turn 12 they go, into turn 13, and look at this. Around the outside goes Joel Mesh, but not quite able to find a way there. Mesh, though, very, very aggressive. Keep an eye on what he does through the final corner. I think the 11... Oh, no, he's not even waiting for the final corner. He goes around the outside at turn 14. Too wide through the last turn is surely going to compromise both of them. That could be an opportunity then for Mikey Porter. Mesh going to the very outside extremities of the runoff area, and sure enough, Porter has better momentum than either of them. Can he maybe try and sneak through? I don't think he's quite going to find the gap that he needs. Tom Leben covering off the space, but Joel Mesh gets into the lead there, carried the speed around the outside of the final corner, did run off the circuit, but now he leads the race. Hugely impressive stuff that we're getting this close wheel-to-wheel racing without any contact. Matthew Martin studying the rear of Mikey Porter's similar Fassetti Motorsport Aston Martin. Both teams awaiting their Evo spec car. Of course, Aston Martin working hard here to get their cars up to highest levels of GT4 racing once again, although the Vantage GT4 as a package is hugely competitive and has been from day one. I think the winningest car in recent years, at least in ADAC GT4, and has been similarly successful in all corners of the globe. Dipping down now then through turn 9. The approach to turn 9, just such a spectacular part of the racing circuit. And there you see the Mercedes, I should say, running in tandem there. Max Huber leading a good Aston Martin pack towards the middle of the field. He leads in AM class, 6th overall. And it is a Mercedes that leads the way in the hands of Joel Mesh. There is Mesh then through the penultimate corner of the lap in a GT3 car. This is almost flat. I'm not sure about a GT4. Of course, you approach it with less speed, but you also have less aero. I somehow doubt it's flat out, but perhaps I am wrong about that. Mikey Porter certainly flat out down the main straight, trying to go to the outside line once again. Can he make it work? Certainly Tom Leben hasn't had a moment to breathe in this race. He breaks a little bit later there than Mikey Porter, squeezes him out onto the runoff area. And Tom Leben retains second place for the time being. Leben from Porter, from Matthew Martins, your top four in this race. Andreas Höfler doing a very good job up into 5th place overall as well, as the Astons get a little bit too close for comfort there. Around the outside goes Matthew Martins. Has he done enough? It's still side by side as they run through turn number 6. Up to turn 7 they go then. And the two Astons still at lockheads, but the inside line with Matthew Martins, surely that's going to count for everything. And yes, it does. Up into 3rd place he goes. Porter was trying to attack the McLaren and ends up being attacked by his fellow Aston Martin, but he's right back on it around the outside at turn 9. They're still side by side through 10 and 11. And Porter with the inside line may cover it off for a moment, but I suspect that Matthew Martins is going to be right back there with him any moment now. Yes, sure enough, they're still side by side. Porter tries too hard there around T12, runs it very, very wide indeed. And Porter demoted to 4th place. Matthew Martins then taking advantage. Great sequence between the both of them there. But Matthew Martins ends up with the success story on that occasion. However, there are still 22 minutes and 30 seconds of this 30-minute race left to go. No pit stops in this, of course. It is just a run to the flag directly. Andreas Höfler just coming across the crest of the hill there in 5th place. He's your Pro-Am leader, but he's under pressure from Max Huber in the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. So all of these cars fighting each other. It's a Pro/Pro-Am scrap. At the back of the scrap there, you see Rianne O'Meara Hunt in the newly entered FK Performance BMW. So she and the car new for this weekend. Then you've got the familiar NM Racing Team Mercedes-AMG GT4s sandwiching the grey and gold entry of Charles Dawson. That is the CV Performance Group machine. Dawson being coached by Seb Morris, being co-driven with Emil Yerdrum, of course. To the inside line, though, goes the 15 car. And it is the 15 car of Alberto Di Martin there, but Alberto Di Martin is actually a lap down according to the timing screen. So Di Martin, at least on the timing screen, is a lap down, although that's now corrected itself. I think he might have a transponder issue then. So that explains why it isn't the 187 car there at the back of the queue. I did think it didn't look like the right livery. There's O'Meara Hunt just going over the crest of the hill now. So the 15 car is running in P8, albeit with a transponder issue. Alberto Di Martin is there in the NM Racing Team car fighting for position. I thought he might have been trying to make a lunge while being a lap down, which I was not sure about at all. Making a move for 2nd place, meanwhile, is Matthew Martins, and I don't think they made contact, but they were very, very close to it as they came through the final corner. The nose cut off the Aston Martin there by the McLaren of Tom Leben. Leben for Elite Motorsport then continues to lead as they come across the line in this battle for 2nd place. Of course, our true leader Joel Mesh some 3 seconds up the road already. Mesh has his eye in a big way here. Matthew Martins to the inside. Is he brave enough? Well, he almost was. Oh, a bit of a nudge between the two of them there. A little bit of a helping hand, a little bit of a knock on the door there from Matthew Martins to Tom Leben. I think Matthew was just saying, you can take some more apex speed if you like. I don't think there was anything malicious behind it. Tom Leben going defensive then into turn 5, the hairpin corner with the magnificent tower overlooking this section of the circuit. Leben choosing his spots wisely here. He has the inside sewn up for turn 7, and it's all important through this section of circuit. Very challenging corner, invites you to take more speed than you really can, I feel. Matthew Martins Trying for the outside at turn 9. That, of course, converts to the inside for T10, so that's always the way to go if you can. Mikey Porter, again, with some excellent camera work from behind in the battle for second place. He's going to try and get involved here as they dip down through turns 10, 11, and now through 12. It is still the low-slung McLaren Artura that leads the Astons, or is it? Because Matthew Martins is up the inside line. Martins moves up to second place. Now Mikey Porter looking for his way through. Has he got the inside line? Well, he does, but not enough to really take the inside with any authority. But Matthew Martins is into second place, and here comes the Aston. No, never mind. Mikey Porter briefly looking to the inside line, but again, Tom Leben managing to cover it off, and I think Porter thinking better of it. Mesh across the line then with a big lead. That gap is now out to 5.3 seconds, and oh goodness me, it's close between Leben and Porter. So here they go through turn 3 now. And Mikey Porter looking to the inside, the outside. If he could burrow underneath the McLaren, I'm sure he would. He's trying very hard to reclaim this podium. Of course, started from the front row of the grid, so we'll be very keen to at least get back to his starting position. But Leben making it hard for him. Of course, Leben and Porter was the front row of the grid, but Mesh and Martins from the second row of the grid have both excelled under race conditions. Joel Mesh, frankly, living in a different postcode from these guys at the moment. You hear the curbs there rattling away underneath the Aston. You see Leben there on the inside, just again covering off, making sure his car's in the right position, really schooling Mikey Porter here. Mikey taking notes here, Racecraft 101, but Mikey knows his stuff as well around the outside at turn 11 as we now dip back downhill. Still the McLaren is there on the inside, but Porter has the line surely. Oh no, still carrying more speed is Leben. Of course, he can see a bit more out of the right door than we can, out the right window than we can, but for a moment there I thought that Tom Leben had fallen behind Mikey Porter, but right now the Fassetti Motorsport McLaren is still there behind the Elite Motorsport McLaren. The Fassetti Motorsport Aston Martin, I should say, to correct the record. Both of them take far too much speed through the final corner. Mikey Porter carrying a lot of speed in the process. Start procedure under investigation as well. That's come up on screen for the Elite Motorsport McLaren. So the Elite Motorsport McLaren under investigation for start procedure. We'll have to see what comes of that. Around the outside then goes the 19 car, and Mikey Porter, this youngster is not lacking in the ambition department at all. He was telling me earlier in the week that he and Jamie Day are forming a good bond together as teammates. They seem to get along nicely, and they certainly perform well together in this car. Fourth place in last year's Ginetta Juniors, Mikey Porter. His first GT4 race is coming at Estoril last weekend, but you'd think he's been driving this thing for longer than that, because he is confident around the outside of Leben, a driver who has more than proven himself in junior single-seater categories. Was very impressive at times in the GB3 Championship, and two drivers new to GT4s with different backgrounds, and it is Mikey Porter now into third place. Mikey Porter in the 19 car, then up into P3 through 10 and 11. Now through turn 12, and Porter just covering off the inside, but has he gone too deep into the corner? I think he may have done. If he gets the momentum, he may just be able to cover off the inside at 13. I think he's done enough there. Got the car out of the corner well enough to hold on to third. Yes, he has, but it is very close running between these parties in the battle for third place. Matthew Martins has now distanced himself from this scrap. He's 2.5, I think more like 3 seconds clear now. Porter still taking liberties out of the final turn, but it seems to be paying off for him at the moment. We've crossed over the half race distance marker, 14 minutes and 45 seconds then of this race left to run. There's the battle for 5th place then. Max Huber still leading in the AM class, just ahead of the Pro-Am leader, Charles Dawson. Andreas Höfler, meanwhile, is coming into pit lane. Now, that doesn't happen in this race unless there's an issue. So Andreas Höfler in the 77 Resoon Malvern Racing Porsche Cayman, clearly was some sort of issue. Richard Wolff then in 2nd in the AM class, or 3rd in the AM class, I should say, chasing Alberto Di Martine there as well. That's a good scrap further back, but the battle for 3rd overall still the apple of our collective eyes at the moment. Now Leben back on the offensive after several laps of perpetually running with his elbows out. They go through the flat out turn 9, have to set themselves up nicely for turn 10. You want to be on the inside into 10, drift wide, square up turn 11, try and get as good of a run back down the hill as you can, as you then make your way through turn 12. And as soon as turn 12 comes, 13 follows. You have to be so careful to make sure you get the braking right through that corner. We have a drive-through penalty appearing on the timing screen now. The number 78 car for start procedure infringement. I did say there was an investigation on the 78 McLaren. It's now got a drive-through penalty. Tom Leben has to come through the pit lane in the next couple of laps then. A drive-through because of start procedure. That is really unfortunate for the McLaren Artura driver. Now, was that just marbles flying there, or was it carbon fibre? Luis Liberal was trying to get to the inside there of Mikael Sander. And Luis Liberal was trying to find a way through. However, he got cut off at the pass. I'm hoping it was just tyre marbles as opposed to carbon that came off the BMW there, but certainly a close scrap here. This is for 10th overall at the moment, with the Wimmerwerk Motorsport Cayman now on the inside. Here comes Igor Kichin then. And a good move from the youngster, just his 2nd weekend in car racing. And he moves himself up into what will be 11th place in the race then. Igor Kichin up to P11. He is looking to try and make up for some lost time, I think, because at Estoril he really didn't get many chances to race. DNFs in 2 races for the Wimmerwerk Motorsport crew. Neither he or Ivan Ekelchik really had a fair run at any point at Estoril, but good to see Igor Kichin getting in amongst it. The battle in AM still looking intense as well, as Richard Wolff continues to investigate Alberto Di Martine for 2nd in AM. There's the AM versus Pro-Am leaders battle, and then there's 2nd place in AM, the big BMW all over the back of the Mercedes AMG GT4. Of course, Alberto Di Martine once again sharing this car with the team boss, as it were, Neil Montserrat. Alberto Di Martine simply sees him as a friend, but he is also team boss at the NM Racing team, and it's great to see Neil Montserrat back into racing. The 77 Porsche apparently did a tyre change on the rear left, Lukas Gajewski is telling me. So there may have been a tyre down on the Resoon Racing Porsche. The next question would be a tyre down because of failure or a tyre down because of contact? Well, we don't know, but we know that Andreas Höfler has well dropped down the order as a result of it. Richard Wolff then in the number 81 car, the Resoon BMW, the teammate then to Andreas Höfler. We ride on board with Alberto Di Martine of the NM Racing team. You see the battle between the 2 Mercedes up ahead, and it looks like Charles Dawson is potentially up ahead now of Max Huber, just ahead of them in the battle for 5th overall. But Alberto Di Martine doing what he can to stave off the advances of Richard Wolff. This car having a transponder issue at the moment, so actually running in 7th place, but showing up on the graphics variously as further down the pack because the transponder has stopped working. Now, what about this drive-through then for Tom Leben? Will he serve it this time around? The fourth place car, Tom Leben, is owing us a drive-through penalty at this stage. The yellow McLaren has been all over the back of Mikey Porter as we continue to see that battle for fifth overall between the Mercedes. I think the McLaren may have popped towards the pit lane. Yes, indeed. The Elite Motorsport McLaren is in then to serve its drive-through penalty. Now, let's keep an eye on these two Mercedes. Where will the McLaren come out relative to the pair of Mercedes? It's a fairly lengthy pit lane. There goes the McLaren Artura. You see the drive-through 78 being flashed at top of the pit at the start line gantry. McLaren now heads back out onto the circuit, and I think it's going to drop out maybe somewhere just ahead of Rihanna O'Meara Hunt, so that will put it down to 8th position. There is the 78 car back out onto the circuit, and Richard Wolff with a big moment at turn 2. I think 2 into 1 tried to go through turn 2, the quite narrow kink, and it didn't really pay off. And that was Richard Wolff getting into it with Alberto Di Martine, and Wolff came off worse there. This is the battle then for 4th overall, as it now is, because Tom Leben has, of course, come into the pits for that drive-through penalty. So 4th overall now being held by our AM class leader, Max Huber. Pro-Am class leader, Charles Dawson, following in P5. Luis Liberal has come into pit lane as well in the number 5 BMW. Apparently the tyre wasn't down on the 77 Porsche, by the way, just to loop back to that. Maybe just deg or potentially a slow puncture, maybe something they saw on the data, but the tyre itself wasn't down. So most irregular to do a tyre change over the course of a half-hour race. But that is exactly what happened down at Razoon with their Porsche. Of course, the Razoon BMW was the car in a spin just a few moments ago, so it isn't all looking up, really, for the Razoon Motorsport crew, or the Razoon More Than Racing crew, I should say. Max Huber under pressure from Charles Dawson then as they run through the final corner. Huber sets himself up for a good run out of the final corner, but Dawson, of course, with the advantage of the slipstream, may be able to edge a little bit closer into the first corner of the lap, flashing his headlights all the while. CV Performance Group cheering him on. Around the outside goes Charles Dawson. He was later and braver on the brakes. Around the outside and through into 4th place then goes Charles Dawson. Charles Dawson through into 4th position. The Pro-Am leader passing the Am class leader for the overall 4th place spot. Tom Leben has gotten past Richard Wolff for 6th overall, so Leben starting to make his way back up through the order. Igor Kichin getting past Mikael Sander, so Igor Kichin moving up a position. Mikael Sander, a former champion in the GT Winter Series before the GT4 cars and the Caymans were given their own grid ahead of this year. Sander likes to go racing, loves to get involved in a scrap, and he's got the youngster in the Wimmer Werk car to contend with here in this battle for 9th overall. The 24 from the Wimmer Werk team that have done just about everything over the years. Only registered 1 finish in Estoril. That was a 10th place finish as well. So suboptimal weekend in all regards, unfortunately, for Wimmer Werk in round 1 of the season. SR Motorsport running this Cayman here, the white car, not immune to drama either. They had a smattering of issues to contend with across the weekend too. We are 5 minutes and 25 seconds away from the clock hitting 0 in this race. And a great scrap on for 9th place. A mighty lead belonging to Joel Mesh, who is just cruising home at the front of the order. Mikael Sander, it should be said, not running a GT4 Cayman here. This car is a Cayman Trophy spec machine. It's an NLS single make class. 3.8 litre engine as opposed to the 4 litre in the Cayman GT4 RS car. Also running slightly more standard suspension, the car a little closer to showroom condition in general. So very impressive that Sander is still on the back then of Igor Kichin. Kichin keeping an eye on the mirrors there, looking to go defensive up against Sander, who should have a little bit less grunt. So that engine revving a little lower as well in the Cayman Trophy spec car. Looks to the inside at turn 1, and Kichin continues to stave off Mikael Sander in the battle for 9th place. Franz Linden is running nicely in 11th overall as well. He's second among the Cayman Trophy runners. He graduated, as it were, from the endless summer track days that are run by the Gedlich Racing organisation, moving up along with the Speedworks team into the world of racing here in the GT4 Winter Series, and seems to be doing very well indeed, receiving tuition and coaching from Arne Hofmeister as he goes on the first steps of his racing journey. So, incident under investigation between Luis Liberal and the number 111 car. That must have been a few laps ago then, when Mikael Sander and Luis Liberal were together on circuit. Incidentally, Luis Liberal with a loss of brake pressure. That's why that car is into the pit lane. So the car's dipping down through turn 12 as we rejoin them at 13. A bit of a lively rear end there on Sanders' car by the looks of it. Again, every time he closes in, of course, that long front straight is certainly more geared to the full-spec GT4 car. So the two cars looking pretty equal, although I'd say on the straight, certainly Igor Kichin should have the advantage. He continues to watch the bright orange boot lid of Igor Kichin, and it doesn't seem to be any way through at this stage. Meanwhile, going a lot quicker, well, not a lot, but a few tenths a lap quicker than the race leader is Matthew Martins in second place. The gap not really going down sufficiently for there to be any chance of a close-up, but Matthew Martins really showing good pace at this juncture of the race. However, the fastest lap of all does belong to Joel Mesh in the Schnitzelhelm Racing Mercedes-AMG GT4, so I just think that maybe Mesh is playing it cool, playing it calm at the front of the order, just keeping himself running and not worrying too much about anything else. Tom Leben, meanwhile, I think maybe out there on circuit at the moment with Alberto Di Martine. I think they're pretty close when they crossed the line last time. This is Charles Dawson, however, still under pressure from Max Huber. So still the Pro-Am and Am class leaders are having a bit of a kerfuffle out there at the front of the pack. Now, Joel Mesh crossed the line I believe to start the last lap this time by, but it is going to be marginal as to whether this is the final lap or whether we get one more. Certainly Charles Dawson and Max Huber are going to be really hoping to get more than one more lap of their battle, because they've been having an absolutely fabulous scrap all race long. Huber may be running out of opportunities here to go up against the CV Performance Group car. I think this could well be the final lap of the race. We'll have to wait and see quite where Joel Mesh is on the circuit. You'll see him now just dipping down through turn 8 and now on to turn 9. Now, 55 seconds left on the clock. I think maybe we're good for one more lap, but it's going to be incredibly close, actually. I think there might be something like 10 seconds left on the clock when he crosses the line. So I think maybe one to go after this one, but we'll stay with the leader because, well, let's be facing it. Commentary maths is never the best, but I do think we are due at least one more lap of racing here. Matthew Martins has shrunk the gap down to 4.5 seconds as he continues to pursue the number 11 car, but I think Matthew Martins just showing what he can do. I don't think he believes he can close in on Mesh, who is doing such a good job in the Schnitzelhelm Mercedes. Now, this circuit very much featuring several very fast right-hand bends, and that can mean tyre deg as well. I bet some of these tyres are looking a little bit worse for wear on the front left, I should say, at the end of this race. They certainly get put through a lot around that final corner and a few other bends of this circuit. It's a high deg circuit, but nothing that the Pirelli tyres haven't seen and handled before. And that gap is down significantly, actually. A 2.4 second gap it is now. The last lap across the line for Matthew Martins was the fastest of the race, while this car, the Mercedes-AMG GT4 of Joel Mesh, was well off the pace. Now, is there an issue for Joel Mesh, or is Matthew Martins just now getting his eye in? Given that Mesh is off his own pace, I suspect it is the latter. Joel Mesh then through the final couple of corners. This gap has shrunk from 5 seconds to essentially nothing over the course of what, a lap and a half, 2 laps, and it's only shrinking further. I think maybe my chatter about tyre deg may be a little bit more on topic than I anticipated. Matthew Martins is closing. Now the telltale sign will be how Joel Mesh handles the final 3 corners of the lap. Each of them fairly hard on the tyres. The last 2 corners very hard, specifically on the left front. I think that Joel Mesh has just about done enough, but there's no questioning that that gap has come down massively towards the end of the race. Matthew Martins, though, the young Frenchman for Racar Motorsport, not quite going to be able to capitalise on this occasion. Joel Mesh, with the clock hitting 0, the checkered flag waits for him. He crosses the line to win it at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. It is a win for Joel Mesh. Matthew Martins taking second. Mikey Porter will cross the line to take 3rd place. He does so now, 11.8 seconds off the lead. 4th place then will go to Charles Dawson, the number 85 CV Performance car, or will it? Because Max Huber has been there or thereabouts all race long. Dawson and Huber should be still pretty close together, but I think Dawson should have done enough. Here they come across the crest now, and it is Dawson that comes across the line in 4th place. 5th place to Hubert, 6th place to Leben, just going past our shot there for 6th position. Then it's Alberto Di Martin who will cross the line in 7th place. Richard Wolff crosses the line in P8. 9th place will go to Rihanna O'Meara Hunt in her first race here at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. Running out the top 10 should be Mikael Sander, although we know that Igor Kichin has been fighting with him. Let's see what order they're in as they come across the line. Past they go, and it is Sander just about that beats Igor Kichin across. Franz Linden taking P12. Vilikuna will take 13th behind him. There's Linden across the line. Good to see him take the flag then in what I believe is his very first motor race. A good result for Franz Linden to take 2nd ahead of Vilikuna in the Cayman Trophy class. So 2nd in Cayman Trophy for Franz Linden. There is Mikey Porter then. On his cool-down lap, he'll be happy to have gotten a podium, but I think he'll be disappointed that he couldn't capitalise better from his front row grid slot. Jamie Day has pole position for race 2 tomorrow, I believe, and I think that Fawcetti Motorsport, with the combined times into race 3, will also be on pole for that one as well. So Fawcetti Motorsport have a few more rolls of the dice over the course of the next 24 hours at taking another race victory. But it is Joel Mesh once again for Schnitzelhelm Racing, who is victorious here at Portimão, the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, and Mercedes-AMG GT4 is on top once again. Schnitzelam Racing then with a win ahead of Matthew Martins in second place, 0.7 of a second at the end of that race. Clearly Joel Mesh was struggling with something towards the end there. Mikey Porter taking P3, and then our first Pro-Am car, Charles Dawson in fourth place. Fifth place for Max Huber in the number 10 Mercedes, that's the AM class winner. Tom Levin recovering to sixth place after his drive-through penalty. Alberto Di Martin taking seventh place ahead of Richard Wolff. Rihanna O'Meara Hunt in ninth place. Just pipping Igor Kichin to the line was Mikael Sander, the Cayman Trophy winner, taking 10th overall ahead of Kichin. Then Franz Linden in 12th. Willi Kuna in 13th place. Andreas Höfler taking 14th. Our last car across the line to take the checkered flag was Martin Kroll in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport machine. Luis Liberal with brake pressure issues, we understand. He withdrew to pit lane, a shame for the driver that took an AM class win last time out at the Circuito Estoril. So a GT4 Winter Series race is in the book then, and it's another win for Schnitzelam Racing's Joel Mesh. He will be delighted with that result. Last time he was interviewed down at a podium, he gave a plug to catering, and I understand that his team catering responded, unsurprisingly, with heaping extra portions of schnitzel for Joel Mesh. So Joel Mesh maybe trying to, I don't know, who can he talk to next? Maybe he could get a helmet done, maybe he could plug his helmet painter. Who knows what the young man will do, but he'll be delighted with his second race win of the season. Of course, he and his co-driver from last time, Jamo Hartling, securing the win in the endurance race on Sunday at Estoril. This time Joel Mesh is joined by Marcel Maršovics in the GT4 Schnitzelam Racing entry, so it is a slightly different driver lineup this time. Maršovics was always supposed to be at Estoril, but travel issues got in the way of that. And Joel Mesh looks a little bit like he's been through it over the course of the last few minutes. I'm just wondering quite what's happened over the course of that, especially that last few minutes, because the car was clearly struggling towards the end. He receives his plaudits from his team then, and we will no doubt hear from him over the course of the next couple of minutes. The Schnitzelam Racing crew with race win number 2 of their GT4 Winter Series season then. Of course, also taking a win in the GT Winter Series through their SR Motorsport subdivision in the GT Winter Series race at Estoril as well. So they've continued their streak of taking home a P1 trophy every time in the GT Winter Series this year, and we haven't even gotten through race number 2 of the day yet. So already a win for Schnitzelam. They will be very happy with that young man, Joel Mesh, the reigning GT60 champion over in Germany, the GTC race category, and he'll be looking to add another title over the course of this season in the form of the GT4 Winter Series, but he's got a long way to go just yet. However, he seems very confident. He was talking to me in the early stages of this week about the clean sweep. He wanted that clean sweep. I just wonder how he's feeling about it now after one race win. I bet that's only going to boost the young man's confidence. He was talking himself up for 3 from 3 this weekend. Well, he's got the first element of that already sewn up. Matthew Martins, once he got to second place, there was really no doubt that he was going to stay there. But Joel Mesh, I understand, is down for the first post-race interview of the day with Lukas Gajewski.
Thank you very much, Adam Waller, and of course, congratulations to you, Joel. That was very commanding. I hope still an exciting race for you there.
Yeah, that was amazing. The first few laps fighting S4, and it was just exciting, interesting. It was really, really fun.
Now, over the course of the last few laps, we saw the gap coming down again. Was that on purpose?
Yes, it was, but kind of not. It was just saving my victory, yeah, managing.
And let's go back to the first few laps of the race. That was ever so exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. that overtaking move around the outside. It was just very fun, like I said before, and thank you to you guys. Was a good one.
Enjoy the podium, Joe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. Mesh very happy with his drive then to the victory once again. And okay, he was savouring, as he said there, as he drove the car towards race victory. Interesting stuff then from the youngster. I thought he might have had something of a worn tyre towards the end of that race, but of course in GT4 races they typically don't change their tyres unless it's a proper enduro, so it would have been a surprise that the car was struggling quite so much with Deg after half an hour, and seemingly that was not the case. It was just Joel Mesh taking in the last couple of laps of racing. Does look like someone's laid some oil down on the circuit earlier in the day. That's been there since we kicked off this broadcast. I'm not quite sure from what that fluid is, but evidently there has been a little bit of leakage on the circuit, maybe only adding to the challenge. A lot of challenges for the engineers, for the drivers to contend with alike, because all of their data prior to, well, today was wet weather data, and as far as we know, there is no more wet weather to come this weekend. So it's almost the polar opposite of what we had at Estoril a week ago, where it was dry right up until the first green light went out on the first race of the day. This time around, though, we are faced with nothing but dry conditions. It's going to make for a very interesting second weekend of the year. Will the dynamics shift at all on the various grids? And as we continue to look over the circuit, then we can, in just a few moments, reflect upon the race that was in the GT4 Winter Series. A great way to kick off our broadcast on this Saturday. So then as the race got underway, it was Tom Leben in the lead, but he didn't get the best run down to the first corner. Joel Mesh taking advantage early on. Of course, Tom Leben ultimately judged to be in infringement of the start procedure. Mesh would get through into the lead, and once he did so, there seemingly was no turning back. The Aston Martins would start to make life very hard for the McLaren driver, the number 78, Matthew Martins, giving the car a little bit of a kiss. Meanwhile, Mikey Porter was looking for any way past Leben that he could find in the battle for what was at this point third position. Porter around the outside, around the inside, but then Leben would have to come in for a drive-through penalty. And while that was going on, Alberto Di Martino and Richard Wolff got into it. The BMW driver, Richard Wolff, getting the worst of that situation. Charles Dawson found his way past Max Huber. That was a battle between the Pro-Am and Am class leaders. Igor Kirchin would get past Michael Sander in the battle for 9th place overall. It was actually Sander that would ultimately come out on top in the Cayman scrap. So then we will have podiums over the course of the next few minutes. All the while, we will more than likely hear the engines warming up for the Prototype Winter Series that follows this race. You've got 3 races today here in the Winter Series package. The GT4s, the Prototypes, and of course the GT cars, where you see the GT3s and the Cup cars blended together on one grid, and a very strong grid it is there as well. And we can now head to Chris McCarthy for the first time in this broadcast. He has, in record time, I must say, herded drivers to the podium.
Thank you very much, Adam. We're getting ready to go for the first podium. Thank you to all the crowd who are here. Thank you to those of you who are here in the pit lane as well. Hope you enjoyed the first GT4 Winter Series sprint race. Yet again, the guys putting on a brilliant show for us. They are all backstage getting ready to come out to celebrate. So give them plenty of support. All of them, the first thing they were chasing is some water. They've been working really, really hard out there. We're going to get them out class by class
class top 3 are going to be coming out to join us. So let's start with our pro class. We're going to get our top 3 out in order. Let's start with third place, number 19, Mikey Porter. Let's give him a round of applause. Mikey Porter jumping up from the Ginetta Juniors, adapting very quickly to the GT4 class. Finishing in second, just up the road in the number 9, was Matthew Martins. Well done, Matthew. Regular to the podium now, as is Mikey as well, as was the man just ahead of him, taking the win in the number 11 car. Please give a huge round of applause to our winner in race 1, Joel Mesh. And the Gedlich Racing guys will now come out to present the trophies to our top 3. Danny will come round to take some trophies. Please take your trophies down in pit lane as well. Thank you very much to the team for coming out. We'll get them all up on the top step as well. We heard from Joel Mesh down in pit lane. So please, one more time, give a round of applause to your top 3 in the first GT4 Winter Series sprint race. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to crack on with the podiums this time. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you plenty of times, both on the grids and on the podium a little bit later in the weekend. But now we're going to crack on with some more podiums. We're going to go to Pro-Am next, finishing in third place, the number 24, Igor Kitchen. Well done, Igor. And finishing in second place, someone new to the series for this round this season. Please give a big round of applause for the number 187, Rihanna O'Meara Hunt. Round of applause, please, guys. Here comes Rihanna, straight onto the podium. Great drive here at Portimão, but taking the win in the number 85 in the first race for the weekend, the number 85, Charles Dawson. Congratulations to Charles. Fantastic stuff. Brilliant to hear. Let's get the Gedlich Racing guys out now to present the trophies to our top 3, and Danny will present. Danny will get some pictures of them as well. We'll get them all up on the top step of the podium. I am going to see. Well done to our top 3. I'm going to have a very quick word with Charles Dawson, as we do have some time. So, Charles, we heard from Joel Mesh down there. We didn't quite hear from yourself. How does it feel to take the win?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, improvement from last week. So, yeah, it was a nice fight with Max there at the end, and yeah, good fun. A little bit less grip than I was expecting, but no, good fun.
Good stuff. Well done to Charles. One more round of applause, please, for our top 3 in the Pro-Am class. Congratulations to the guys. Okay, let's go to the Am category next. More great battles going on. They were really closely contested. Let's get our third place, first of all. The number 81, Richard Wolf. A round of applause, please, for all the drivers as they come out. Let's give them lots of support. Next, we're going to go to second place in the AM category for GT4. That went to number 15, Alberto De Martin. Well done, Alberto. And our winner in the AM category, having a fantastic season so far. And that continued in that race. Please put your hands together for our winner in the AM category, number 10, Max Hubert. And the Gedlich Racing guys will come out to present the trophies. Danny will take the pictures. We'll get all 3 on the top step of the podium. Congratulations, guys. Well done. I think due to the noise, we're going to crack straight on. Let's get the Cayman Trophy, guys, out next then. We're going to get third place out, first of all, number 110, Willie Kuna. Willie Kuna, come out onto the podium, please. The Cayman Trophy top 3. And are we gonna, is he here? Is Willie Kuna here? And we saw him running down pit lane at one stage. Yeah, third place. Yeah, let's go. And we can give him a round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go. And someone who has put in a lot of work to get to this point, driving through the Gedlich racing categories. What a fantastic performance by the number 66. Please give huge support to second place, Franz Linden. Congratulations, big effort. We'll chat to you more throughout the weekend. But our winner this time in Cayman Trophy was number 111, Michael Sander. Michael Sander. Let's go. Gedlich Racing guys will come out to present the trophies. Danny will take our pictures, and then we are going to be going into the next race of the day, the Prototype Winter Series. We'll get our trophies presented. That is our first race of the weekend complete. That is the GT4 Winter Series. Many of those coming up. Well done to our top 3. Put your hands together one more time for the GT4 Winter Series drivers. Coming up next, though, is going to be the first of 2 races of the weekend. Coming up next on track, it's the Prototype Winter Series.
And one of the big stories of the day would have been the car that's sadly missing from the grid. The first one for this weekend in Prototype Winter Series. Because this time and this weekend we should have been joined by Inter-Europol competition. Of course, the winning team in last year's 24 Hours of Le Mans in LMP2 class. This team very, very familiar with running LMP3 machinery in various prototype championships. One of them should have been Prototype Winter Series this weekend. Pedro Perino with a very, very strong performance earlier on today in qualifying. Sadly, about 6 minutes before the end of the session, while leading it, he had quite a big off down there heading into turn 1. The car in the Inter-Europol pit garage is still being repaired, so there is hope to see it on the circuit tomorrow for the second of the 2 races this week, and sadly it's going to be missing from today's grid in race number 1. But of course, a very, very nice addition to the grid. We've got the 66 Rinaldi car to our left, and there is another Rinaldi prototype over there on pole position. But first of all, let's take a look into the second row of the grid. Most of the cars in Prototype Winter Series being part of the LMP3 regulations. This, however, is the very, very welcome exception. The number 71 car, the ANS Motorsport Nova, driven by Kevin Rabin. A very, very exciting car, great looking, almost hypercar-esque, I think you could say, especially from the back. Very, very pretty looking car, and very, very fast just as well. Now, alongside Kevin Rabin on the second row of the grid is the number 3 car, the old black machine of DKR Engineering. They feature a different driver lineup for this weekend. Just a week ago in Estoril, we saw a young German driver Lawrence Herr being part of that driver crew. He, however, has made his way to Daytona in even sunnier Florida, because he'll be taking part in the Daytona 24 hours in about a week's time. And this is your front row of the grid today, with Danny Soufi, one of the winners last weekend during the opening round at Estoril in the number 7 black and green Conrad Motorsport car. Second place on the grid, and next to him, pole setter here in Portimão is the number 33 Rinaldi Racing Machine, a team very familiar to various prototype championships just as well, and of course in GT3 machinery, which we are going to see later on in race number 1 for the GT Winter Series. So here we go. This is your front row of the grid. Remember, there has been a bit of a clash last weekend in Estoril in pouring rain just a week ago. Let's see how these two will navigate into the first corner down there here in Portimão, with Sandro Holzem in the Rinaldi car on pole position and Danny Sufi in second place on the grid. A very, very short ad break, and afterwards it's going to be Adam Weller in the commentary box for race number 1 in Prototype Winter Series this weekend.
So then the Prototype Winter Series grid eagerly awaiting their formation lap for this race, and it will be Sandro Holzem leading them away from Danny Sufi. This is the exact front row, of course, from Estoril, and it did end, at least in the first race, in unfortunate circumstances last time. Once again, the lights are out on the gantry, and that means no minutes left until the cars roll. We will be rolling away on the formation lap in a matter of moments. Once we are rolling on the formation lap, we will talk you through the grid for this race. Just the 8 cars expected to take the start, unfortunately, with the loss of the Inter-Europol car, at least for today. Here is the starting grid now. Sandro Holzem then in the Rinaldi racing car, set to take the start. He is driving solo this weekend, as is Danny Sufi. Danny Sufi starting solo in the Conrad Motorsport number 7. Third on the grid, well, it's the number 3 car, isn't that nice? Chris Short and Wyatt Brikacek starting from third on the grid. The 2 drivers from Inter-Europol, as a matter of fact, using the DKR Engineering Duquesne to get their eye in for the start of the year. ANS Motorsports, Kevin Rabin, that's the only non-LMP 3 car, the Nova NP02, starting from 4th with the fast young Swiss at the wheel. ANS Motorsports number 42 car, set to begin with Julien Lemoyne at the wheel. That car is in 5th place. In P6, the Rinaldi Racing 66 car, Steve Parrow, Daniel Kalvitz, starting from row 3 of the grid. And we understand that that will be Steve Parrow starting the car. In 7th place, Muller Motorsports solo driver Bernardo Pinheiro, starting from P7th. No Inter-Europol, sadly, after their qualifying drama. And then Liam Maurer and Charles Delbrassin will be taking to the back of the order in the Racing Experience number 12 car, and I'm sure that team mascot Zimba is there helping the team along as well. It will be Liam Maurer taking the start in that car. Okay then, so we are about to go racing for 50 minutes plus 1 lap. We are very excited to see what will come of this race. We've seen Danny Sufi tussle with Daniel Kalvitz already this season. That was a spectacular opening salvo to race 2 in Estoril. We are now here in Portimão, and we'll see whether he can match up to Sandro Holzem, who has had recent experience, of course, in GT3 cars in the DTM. Now, the safety car has stayed out there for a second formation lap, which is quite a surprise. Usually that indicates wet conditions or something of that nature, but we've given them 2 formation laps then in the Prototype Winter Series, which was not in my script, as it were, but that will give the drivers a little bit more time to bed in, get used to whatever tyres they've bolted onto the car on this occasion. In this championship, it is Michelin tyres for all comers, which brings it in step with a number of major championships throughout the racing world. Danny Soufi there in the Ligier then. Still quite new to see the Ligier in Conrad Motorsport colours. Conrad Motorsport for a number of years were the leading team with the Ginetta G61 LTP3, but that car has now been consigned to the workshop for the time being while they give a go at running the Ligier for the first time. There are still active Ginetta teams out there, and perhaps we'll see Ginetta before the end of the season in the Prototype Winter Series, which is building nicely in its first season of racing. In the next few moments then we will go to 2x2 formation ahead of the start of this race. And we will see whether or not current championship second place runner Danny Soufi can put himself into the championship lead. Coming into this weekend, it's Tom van Rompuy and Lawrence Herr that lead the championship in Prototype Winter Series. However, of course, they're not here, principally because the DKR engineering machine has 2 new drivers at the wheel, so it's a great opportunity for Danny Soufi to perhaps become championship leader. However, he will want to focus primarily on getting a race win, and Sandro Holzem is the main obstacle in his path. Also an obstacle in the path, pit stop handicaps. Driver lineups with silver or gold combinations have to spend longer in the pits during the window. We'll talk about that as it becomes relevant during the pit stop window, but for now the cars are rolling towards the start-finish line, and we are going to go racing in the Prototype Winter Series for the first time at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. They idle, and they go full throttle. And what a difference that makes to the sound in this general area of Portugal. It is Sandro Holzem that leads into the first corner then. Nicely covered off in the early stages. Danny Soufi right there behind him. Looks like a fairly poor start there from the other A&S car, the 42 of Julien Lemoyne, being swallowed up back to 5th place there, being pursued by the Molnar Motorsport 18 car, which has new personnel in it in the form of Bernardo Pinheiro and Rodrigo Almeida. But Sandro Holzem and Danny Soufi, in a replica of last weekend, albeit with far better weather conditions, are disappearing up the road at the front of the order in the early stages. The top 2 already clearing off as this race begins. The number 7 car running just behind the number 33. There's the A&S Motorsport Ligier, one of the favourite liveries, I think, in the paddock. I've heard that from a lot of personnel within the team, out of the team, and elsewhere in the media pens as well. The 42 A&S Motorsport car, 1 LMP3 and 1 Nova NP02 run by that team. There's a good battle for third on there as well. Chris Short set to be starting the number 3 DKR engineering car. He's under pressure from young Kevin Rabin, and to the inside there went the Molnar Motorsport car for 5th place. Didn't quite pay off for him. But the 2 hairs in this race then looking to be Sandro Holzem and Danny Soufi. Danny Soufi will have a 151-second pit stop, as will Sandro Holzem. So both of them from pit entry to pit exit have to take, well, effectively 2.5 minutes to go from pit entry to pit exit, whereas For instance, Clement Moreno and Julien Lemoyne only have 89 seconds in that number 42 Ligier coming into shot just behind the Molnar Motorsport car. So a big discrepancy in pit handicaps here. Rather than having a Pro-Am and an Am class, the pit stop handicap system balancing the race with an alternative method, and it has created some very exciting racing already in the Prototype Winter Series. 47.25 left on the clock then on lap number 2 of the race. And now that the Molnar Motorsport car is up there into 5th place, I wonder if he can drag himself and Julien Lemoyne into the battle. Bernardo Pinheiro, new to the team for this weekend. A few young stars coming in to the Molnar Motorsport team as they continue their run of shootouts to determine their Prototype Cup Germany lineup for next year. This man, Pinheiro, raced in the Ligier JSP4 element of the Ligier European Series last year, so I believe this is his first time in the LMP3 cars under race conditions, and he seems to be taking to it well because he's disappeared up the road from Julien Lemoyne and is now chasing this number 71 car, the A&S Motorsport Nova Proto NP02. Holtzem and Sufi 5 seconds clear already in the battle for the lead, so they're both jetting away up the road saying see you later on, and they will see them later on with the pit handicaps as they are. The car in 3rd place, Chris Short sharing with Wyatt Brikacek, is set to be only in the pits for 120 seconds. So if Chris Short can simply stay within about 30 seconds before handing over to Wyatt, then they could well be race leaders at the conclusion of the pit window. Sufi then running nicely in 2nd place. We already saw him holding off Daniel Karlwitz for Conrad Motorsport a few mere days ago, and being able to keep up with someone like Sandra Holtzem is a further proof of concept for Danny Sufi, who gets a lot of faith and has been really working hard along with Conrad Motorsport to bolster his racing career in LMP3 cars as well as in GT3s on the Nordschleife. There is the distinctive green and black machine. Such an imposing looking racing car, but these LMP3 cars in general, some of the most spectacular racing machines that you can find on the global racing scene, certainly up there for pure thunder, as you will hear as they come down the start-finish straight. Number 7 car just a second behind then as they cross the line to complete lap number 3. 8 seconds further back is the Nova Proto, which is up to 3rd place. Chris Short has gone missing on the timing screen. He crosses the line now in 6th place. Chris Short in the DKR Engineering, the orange nose-tipped black Duquesne, has dropped down to 6th from 3rd. Now what happened to Chris Short? He has fallen back down the order, that much is for certain. He'll be running at the just behind Julien Lemoyne now, so Shorty was getting away and building his advantage over Kevin Rabin, has now fallen back down to P6, and of course that means that the pit window is no longer going to help them quite in the way that we previously expected. And that is a real shame for the team, who were maybe lining themselves up for a shot at victory, but I'm sure Wyatt Brikacek is still going to give it absolutely everything when he takes the wheel in the second phase of this race. There's the battle for 3rd place then, and sure enough, the Molnar Motorsport car, the number 18 of Bernardo Pinheiro, is closing in on Kevin Rabin. Rabin, the 16-year-old Swiss competitor, just his 2nd weekend in a prototype, his 3rd weekend driving a car in general. Was very impressive in the almost arc-worthy conditions at the Estoril circuit just a week ago. Now finding his feet in dry weather conditions. And here comes the Molnar Motorsport LMP3 car. Clearly a straight line speed advantage as Pinheiro takes the inside line and manages to get past before the corner. Definitely a few horsepower down then, the Nova Proto. Easy work for Bernardo Pinheiro, who moves up into third place overall. Now, how's his pace looking relative to the top two? Well, his best lap so far are 1:42.9. Both of the top two cars have set 1 minute 40.4s as their best lap. So Pinheiro is still a little bit off the ultimate pace. However, we'll see how it evolves now that he's in clear air. And of course, Rodrigo Almeida, I should say, waiting to take the wheel after him. So we could see the pace of the car spike in the latter half of the race, although Almeida and Pinheiro both silver-rated drivers, and that means that much like Sufi, much like Holtzum, they are due a 151-second delta from pit in to pit out. So the pit stop handicap's not going to help Molnar Motorsport particularly. The teams it will help, Daniel Kalvitz and Steve Parrow in the 66 Rinaldi car, currently running in 7th place. It'll help the car just behind them as well, the racing experience car of Liam Mauer and Charles Delbrasine. I think Delbrasine looking to take the wheel in the dry, looking forward to taking the wheel in the dry under racing conditions for the first time. And then also with a slightly shorter pit stop, Moreno and Lemoyne, as I mentioned, Wyatt Bricashek and Chris Short. So 5 cars on the grid set to receive a full 151 seconds in the pits, one of them being the 88 Inter-Europol car that sadly did not take the start. There's your 5th place car then, Julien Lemoyne. Now, how's his pace relative to Kevin Rabin? Lemoyne a 4.5 second clear of the ANS Motorsport teammate car. The last lap for Lemoyne was a 42.9. The last lap for Rabin was a 43.5. So over half a second a lap quicker at the moment is this car in 5th place behind Kevin Rabin. So I suspect that Julien Lemoyne is going to be on the back of that car in the next few minutes if things continue in that fashion. The pit stop window will open in approximately 10 minutes. When the race has 30 minutes left to go, the window will open. So from minute 20 to minute 30 of the race is when the drivers have to come in to serve a mandatory pit stop and, where applicable, change personnel to the new driver. Chris Short is just behind Julien Lemoyne as well. That's the car that was running in 3rd place and then seemingly had a moment somewhere out there on circuit that we didn't see in the live pictures. Chris Short setting 143s as well, so he's not really any quicker on the circuit than Lemoyne, than Rabin. Bernardo Pinheiro, meanwhile, is going quicker now. He's in the clear air in the Molnar car. He isn't going faster than the 2 in the lead. However, he is certainly working his way up the pace charts a little bit, which is certainly going to be promising for Molnar Motorsport. They're going to be looking at that with a wry smile. We'll see that progress continue over the weekend, of course. There's number 3 car of Chris Short. Again, this is a Duqueine D08. Of course, Duqueines and Ligiers, the only 2 LMP3 chassis that we have here this weekend, split across the 2 teams. I was speaking to Chris Short in the pit lane earlier in the week. You may remember, if you're watching Estoril, that Danny Sufi spoke about the traction control on the Ligier. And that it's usually turned off because that is quicker. The Duqueine, which Short, I believe, is running for the first time, they do actually run traction control on this car. So the option is there on the Ligier, but they don't use it. In the Duqueine, the option is there and they do use it, which is an interesting disparity between the two. Perhaps the Duqueine a little bit less sure on its feet in low-speed areas of the circuit, but Chris Short trying to get his feet back underneath him after what must have been an unforced error somewhere out there on the circuit. The car looks relatively undamaged. The DKR engineering crew opting for bare carbon fibre, which is a big thumbs up from this commentary box. And the number 3 car now heading out onto the main straight through the final corner. Spectacular turn 15. Not quite flat in a GT3 car, as the data I received from Kenneth Heyer in the paddock earlier on. He, of course, will drive the SR Motorsport Mercedes AMG GT3 later on in the broadcast in the GT Winter Series 30-minute sprint race. But the gap remaining equidistant between Lemoyne and Chris Short. I thought Short would be working his way back to the rear of the Ligier JSP 320, going through shot there of Julian Lemoyne, but no. The gap between them remaining around the 4 to 5 second bracket. Maybe Short is closing in ever so slightly. He was about 0.4 of a second quicker last time, but not quite closing at the rate that I anticipated. Short, who actually lives in Portimão, or not in Portimão, but within a fairly close drive of Portimão. British flag driver, but these days based here in sunny Portugal. And with facilities like this around, you can see why, can't you? The Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, a very impressive place to watch racing, to be involved with racing, and of course, most importantly, to go racing. And we've heard glowing feedback from all parties here at Portimão so far this week in regard to the track. It's always interesting at a track like this, which is usually on people's top 5 lists if they've been around the circuit in anger. Oh, Steve Parrow! Steve Parrow has a moment in the Rinaldi 66 car, and unfortunately, it is just beached in the gravel. That is hugely unfortunate for Parrow, and indeed for Daniel Calvet, who was looking to take that car over, potentially in a very strong position because of the pit stop handicaps. And you can see Parrow there not at all happy with that development. Maybe a mistake. We'll have to see what the feedback is. That'll come out in the wash, I'm sure. But unfortunately, Parrow just looping it at turn 13. It's very easy to do at that corner. One small misstep and the race changes complexion then. I was expecting Daniel Calvet to potentially be quite a factor in the second half of the race again, because he was going to spend 29 seconds less in the pits before heading out there onto the circuit. And the former GT3 champion et al. Was certainly a driver on our radars as one to watch in the latter half of the race. The car still not having moved, so it does look as though this is going to be a car that needs recovery, and the safety car is out, unfortunately. Safety car out for the first time this weekend, and Steve Parrow, unfortunately, the cause of that. Oh, goodness me, there's quite a jump in the road there, isn't there, on that cut through. The Mercedes A45 AMG gainfully skipping onto the circuit then over that bump. And Sandra Holtzum is the car that it picks up. The race leader gets picked up by the safety car. Now, what this does is really muddy the waters for Holtzum and Sufi, because they were building their gap with an eye to trying to minimize the time loss because of the pit stop handicap system. Again, 151 seconds from pit entry to pit exit, whereas some of their rivals will only have to stop for 89 seconds. With this safety car, all of the gap that they had built over the chasing pack is now eradicated. This is also bad news for the 18 car of Pinheiro and Almeida in third place, because they also have a 151 second handicap. In fact, it's bad news for the entirety of the top 4. The 4 cars that are going to be stopped for 151 seconds, or are going to be in the pit lane for 151 seconds, are the 33 Rinaldi car of Sandra Holtzum, the number 7 Conrad machine of Danny Sufi, Molnar Motorsports, Pinheiro and Almeida, and Kevin Rabin in the Nova Proto. So your top 4 have been, well, rather hindered, to put it gently, by this recovery process that is now ongoing. A very easy rescue. The car was only just in the gravel, but if the rear axle is in the gravel trap, that is all it takes to create carnage, unfortunately. Steve Parrow is now going to roll the car away. He's already lost a lap, I believe, so unfortunately Parrow is going to be out of contention along with Daniel Kalvitz. The car now takes its place behind the safety car queue. 32 minutes and 35 seconds left of this race. We've had a few warnings for track limits, you'll be unsurprised to hear. It is going to be a theme here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, but no one pushing the envelope to such an extent that they get a penalty for it. Safety car will be out for another lap then as the recovery vehicle returns to base, as Steve Parrow returns to the rear of the queue. And with 2 minutes left of the race before the window opens, I think that means that quite a few cars are going to immediately duck into pit lane. One would assume that the safety car will be in this lap. That has just been confirmed as the thought left my mouth. And the safety car then will come in, and I suspect a number of prototypes will follow in its wake. There's good news for a number of teams, of course. We've told you about who it's going to be bad for. It's going to be really good for Julien Lemoyne and Clement Moreno in the 42 A&S Motorsport Ligier JSP 320. Julien Lemoyne has raced in Ligier European Series and the GT Winter Series previously in the sister Ligier, the JS2R, the kind of baby GT Ligier. And then Clement Moreno has raced Le Mera Cup Silhouettes in France. They're both drivers with a good amount of experience, albeit not necessarily in machinery as fast as LMP3s, but they're a very, very competent driver pairing. And of course, their pit stop is over a minute shorter than the cars around it. So that is going to be a significant advantage for Lemoyne and Moreno. And it's also going to be benefit to Liam Mauer and Charles Dilbrasine as well. Racing experience, potentially going to experience an upturn in their fortunes as they rejoin the safety car queue now, just in time for the safety car lights to go out. So Sandra Holtzum will control this restart. Of course, for Holtzum, for Sufi, it doesn't really matter when they make their pit stop, because they have not got a co-driver. I understand that Giuliano Holtzum is feeling a little bit poorly at the moment. We hope that he recovers well. We'll see him back on a racetrack very soon, I'm sure. But Sandra Holtzum racing solo this weekend as a result of his brother's absence. And while Franz Conrad was briefly on the entry list in the number 7 car, it is Danny Sufi driving alone too. Holtzum pulls the pin then as we return to racing in the Prototype Winter Series. Who peels into the pits? Well, neither of the top two, but into the pit lane comes the Molnar Motorsport car. Only one car potentially into the pit lane. No, I think 2 or 3 others have also followed in. Steve Parrow has come into the pits as well. Here's the 18 Molnar Motorsport car then in. It's going to be Bernardo Pinheiro getting out of the car. Rodrigo Almeida taking over. Almeida being allowed in now. These two will be looking to try and salvage the race a little bit, despite their 151-second pit in to pit out time. The car further up the pit lane, the 66 of Parra and Kalvitz, will have a shorter stop, albeit that car is now a lap down. Then as this car gets its belts sorted and the Molnar Motorsport engineers get Rodrigo ready to head back out onto the circuit, we refocus on the top two. Holtzum and Sufi running through turn 9 then for the first time back under green flag conditions. This is a view on board with the Conrad Motorsport car of Danny Sufi. Sufi loving this circuit, loving the undulations that are so famous here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. You can see there's still some gravel down on the circuit from the recovery of Steve Parrow. That's never good to see. Those stones there can lead to punctures and things of that nature, but hopefully that won't be the case on this occasion. Now, it looks to me like Holtzum, well, he took a narrow line into the final corner. I thought Holtzum might be heading towards pit lane, but no, he continues on his way. Danny Sufi just 0.3 of a second back at the front of the field, 0.3 of a second between the two of them. The Nova Proto of Rabin is there in third place. Julian Lemoyne is there in P4. Does look like our timing screen is a little bit behind at the moment, but that is the order as it stands. In fifth place and into the pits has come the DKR engineering car. So Chris Short is in to hand over to the American hot shoe Wyatt Brikashek. So just 0.4 of a second in it as the Duquesne versus Ligier battle unfolds. Rinaldi versus Conrad. Two teams that, in addition to running LMP3 cars, also run GT3s very successfully, might I add, at the centerpiece of German motorsport that is the Nürburgring 24-hour race. The DKR Engineering number 3 crew working the straps on Chris Short's car, or rather on Wyatt Brikashek, I should say now. 120 seconds for that car, so a slightly shorter pit stop. I think that's really going to help as well. Wyatt Brikashek, former single-seater race in the United States, a young man that certainly knows what he's doing at the helm of a race car. That car could be a favourite in the second half of the race with how the safety car has affected things going into the pit stop window. Window open for another 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Neither Sandra Holtzum or Danny Sufi electing to make their pit stop. Something tells me they might both be in next time. The closest lap to mid-distance in the race, mid-distance in the window. Solo drivers typically do that. Julian Lemoyne is in, so Lemoyne has pitted the number 42 car. Now this is the car that is going to benefit potentially more than any other from the timing of that safety car, because again, 89 seconds from pit in to pit out is all they have to spend in pit lane. And that is over a minute less than Holtzum and Sufi. And the gap between this car and the leader was just 14 seconds last time across the line. So you can imagine the huge chunk of time that this team is about to save. ANS Motorsport going to send this car on its way momentarily. They shut the doors on its new driver, Clement Moreno. Quick check of the tyre pressures, and they will send the car back out there. Engine fired then, and they will return to the track. There goes the 42 machine. Now, where are Holtzum and Sufi? Answer is they're approaching the final corner. Does either driver come in this time? Let's wait and see. The answer, at least for Holtzum, is no, but Sufi also not in. I thought Sufi might be peeling off. However, both drivers continue on their way. Julian Lemoyne then, having handed over, will now watch as Clement Moreno takes the car out just ahead of the race leaders, but only to go a lap down. Oh, goodness me, Sandro Holtzum. Oh, Holtzum loops it. Holtzum maybe just distracted an iota there by oh, goodness me, Holtzum really struggling to get that car pointed in the right direction. I mean, that would have looked absolutely glorious if it was post-checkered flag, but unfortunately it wasn't. Sandra Holtzum looping it out of turn 3, just too eager on the throttle as he tried to figure out what Clement Moreno was doing in the 42 car. Moreno really couldn't have been more out of the way than he was without completely peeling off the circuit. And unfortunately, Sandra Holtzum with an error. Danny Sufi then is your race leader for Conrad Motorsport. Conrad Motorsport now staring down the precipice of a second win of the season at this stage. However, again, the pit stop handicap system is about to lift its finger and cause the chaos that we know it to cause. Sufi then following the car that currently classifies in P5. And let's see where Sufi is once he comes into the pits. Will he come in this time? We'll wait and see whether Sufi elects to come in. He's struggling to find a way past the 42, so sure enough, the car comes in. Danny Sufi rolls the car down the pits then, and he'll be awaited by the Conrad Motorsport team. Pit in to pit out will have to take 151 seconds, 2 minutes and 31 seconds on this occasion. Sufi has time to grab a late lunch if he needs to. Sandro Holtzum has been barbecuing his rear tyres as he tried to recover from that spin. He'll be really annoyed with himself after that error, but he's still very much in the hunt. We'll see how he does relative to Sufi. Tyre temp checks ongoing down at Rinaldi Racing. They've already serviced this car, the 66, just ahead of the number 12. That is Charles Delbrassin now at the wheel of this car. So that is running in 4th position. Delbrassin on an outlap. Daniel Kalvitz, meanwhile, unfortunately, all the way down in 8th place, of course, with the pit, with the issue that caused the safety car for Steve Parrow. But Kalvitz has now taken the car over, and he'll be looking to maybe salvage a position or two in the Rinaldi Racing Ligier. Rinaldi, the only team here running a Duquesne and a Ligier. The DKR Engineering number 3 dips down through turn 9. Really beautiful circuit, this Autodromo Internacional de Algarve. Of course, turn 9, named after the late Craig Jones, a wonderful motorcycling talent of the past, who was unfortunately taken before his time, and great to see him immortalised at this wonderful facility. Danny Sufi still there in the pits. He's got a while to go just yet. Just getting the car cycled and restarted now. And now they wait. These race engines don't like idling or being turned off and on again too much. Kevin Rabin, meanwhile, has crossed the line as the race leader. Now, Rabin crosses the line as the race leader, albeit in the pits. So Rabin is in the pits, Sufi is in the pits, and Holtzum is in the pits. We see Kevin Rabin there in the picture-in-picture. He's got to wait a while because he's only just come in to serve his pit stop. There goes Danny Sufi then, rolling back out of pit lane. Now, he was our race leader, but of course, the pit window has now caused its chaos, and Charles Delbrassin comes out just ahead of Sufi. This is for position, but Delbrassin making it fairly easy there for Danny Sufi. So Sufi rejoins the race currently in 4th place. However, I think he'll come out ahead of Rabin. So I think once the pit window is over, Sufi will ultimately work back out into 3rd place behind, as expected, the ANS Motorsport car of Moreno and Lemoyne, now with Clement Moreno at the wheel, and also behind the number 3 DKR Engineering machine of Wyatt Brickoshek as well. So Brickoshek will be potentially in a very strong position. We'll work out what the gap is between himself and Moreno as the race comes back onto song here. You see Rabin there still waiting. It's an agonizingly long wait for the silver or gold lineups, who have to wait 151 seconds. In fact, the only way you can run a gold in this series, per my understanding, is alongside a bronze. That's why Daniel Kalvitz is running alongside Steve Parrow. Here comes Sufi then, as Rabin gets released. Now that's a fairly quick 151 seconds, I think. The car, though, gets released. Sufi comes across the line, will get past Rabin and into 3rd place as expected. And for the first time, we may well end up with something of a true indication of the gaps between our leading cars. Clement Moreno 1 minute 20, or well, Clement Moreno leading the way. 25 seconds further back is Wyatt Brikacek in second place, and then it's Danny Sufi in third. So Sufi has a huge amount of work to do. A really significant amount of work to do. And Wyatt Brikacek also, I mean, 25 seconds in less than 18 minutes is a huge mountain to climb. The safety car coming out when it has really thrown things into disarray in terms of this window. And we follow Danny Sufi around the lap. Of course, this is his first proper lap back out after the pit stop. Already done his out lap. Moreno then your race leader in the number 42 A&S Motorsport car, 23 seconds clear of DKR Engineering's Wyatt Brikacek. Danny Sufi there in P3. Now what's the gap going to be between Sufi and the leader? It was looking like something fairly significant. We'll get a proper figure now. 49.3 seconds. That is a big bridge. And I don't know that Danny Sufi is going to be able to cross it in the time that he's been given. Sandra Holtzum 57 seconds back as well, so he's going to have to work hard to even catch Sufi over the course of this next few minutes. Clement Moreno, a 141.956, was the car's quickest lap of the race so far. So your race leader is actually running a fairly strong pace out there as well. Clement Moreno is a bronze driver, but I think he's quite a quick one. I remember seeing him do some good stuff in French racing over the last couple of years. So this could be a very strong driver lineup there in the 42 car for just these scenarios where the pit window really shuffles the deck. The 42 car into the first corner then. That's our race leader, Clement Moreno, A&S Motorsport. And Julien Lemoyne looking like they're in a good position. You saw there really having to fight the car was Moreno through turn 3. These prototypes don't like the low speed corners. Of course, they're so aero dependent, and the moment the car starts to struggle or the moment the car slows down, the driver really has to struggle to keep the thing on the circuit. Through the slow corners, the LMP3s suddenly have to focus on mechanical grip alone. And while there is some, there's certainly not enough to keep the car from being a handful. 21.8 seconds is the gap between first and second place then. And I must say, Wyatt Brikacek is doing a very good job in the DKR Engineering Duqueine. It's his first weekend in the Duqueine D08. There's your race leader. But the Brikacek D08 Duqueine in second place, he is doing very well. A 39.7 the last lap for Wyatt Brikacek, the young American racer. Clement Moreno almost 1.6 seconds slower than that. So I still think that in the time that's allotted, I don't think we're going to see any shift there. But the 23-year-old American, who shares a birthday with me, actually, albeit I'm a few years older, running in Asia Le Mans, European Le Mans, and the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge last year as he transitioned away from single-seaters into sports cars, looking to really start to sharpen his tools going into the 2024 racing season. And less than 20 seconds now, the gap between the top two. Brikacek just trying to show out here and prove what he can do at the wheel of the Duqueine, having already raced the Ligier. Moreno then comfortably out front. A&S Motorsport have really received a lifeline here in this race with the pit handicap immediately following the safety car. Of course, that was caused by the 66 car of Steve Parrow. Daniel Kalvitz, unfortunately, 2 laps down on the race lead after that car was only slightly beached, but beached enough to require recovery. There is the 42 once again, and you can see just there's so small margins for error in the 42 car, or in any LMP3 car. LMP3s as a whole are a very challenging machine to drive on the limits. Obviously far less give than a GT car when it comes to forgiveness in the low speed areas, as we've alluded to already this season. Great to see some drone shots here looking over the circuit. There goes the racing experience car of Charles Delbracin through the shot. And what a wonderful day that we've got here in the Algarve at last, after several days of wondering quite why we all came to Portugal, because at least in the case of the British contingent, the rain was eerily similar. But it is now really showing what coming to a racing circuit in January on the southern Iberian coast can really do for you. This has been a beautiful place to be this last few hours as the sun comes in. We do have, unfortunately, a bulletin on a penalty, drive-through penalty, because of a handicap infringement for the 66 car. So the 66 car being Daniel Kalvitz's machine, there it is on camera. The drive-through penalty to only make worse the situation in the race for this team, because of course this car has already been rather kneecapped by time spent in the gravel. So Paro will be ruining the fact that the car has been sent out early, and that will make sure that Daniel Kalvitz can do absolutely nothing to salvage the race over the course of the next 11 minutes, plus one lap. We'll see whether Kalvitz serves the penalty this time then. Through the final corner goes the 66 Ligier, and sure enough, that did look like it was pit bound. And yes, it was. It hasn't come through. Here, though, comes the DKR engineering car. Wyatt Brikacek at the wheel. And while the number 3 car continues on its way, I understand Lukas Gajewski is down there in the pit lane, so let's go down to him.
Chris Short at the DKR Engineering pit box. Chris, we saw you running in P3 after the start of the race, and we didn't catch how you lost some ground. Please help us out.
Yeah, I had unfortunately I had a spin at T14, just lost the back end as the tyres were still coming in, which was disappointing. But I think the safety cars helped us out before I pitted.
So it's P2 at the moment. What do you expect for the rest of the race? Is it still possible to win this for you?
I think it's close. I think Wyatt's closing a couple of seconds a lap from what I just saw. I think, I don't know, it's going to be close. We might run just out of time. The bronze in the lead seems to be doing a good job, but it's certainly Wyatt's quick, so fingers crossed.
It's always interesting, isn't it, after being in the car yourself, and then you have to just wait here and see what the teammate's doing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Wyatt's a very solid driver, so I think he can, well, we're in the best hands for sure. But yeah, it's great. You know, it's a fantastic series so far. Really enjoying it.
We'll let you enjoy the finale. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Well, I don't know that Wyatt Brikacek quite has the amount of time that he needs. He's just coming across the line now, as you see on screen, in second position. The gap is 14.5 seconds with less than 10 minutes plus an extra lap left to go. I think he's certainly going to get it down under 10 seconds, maybe in that 6 to 7 second bracket. But I think Wyatt might be hard-pressed to secure a victory from here, assuming that Clement Moreno continues in the fashion that he has been so far. Over the crest of the hill comes the number 3 car then. You can see the sun beating down on the driver. No visor down on that helmet for Wyatt Brikacek. I would rather think you'd want some protection from the sun rays in this early evening condition, but no, Bricacek continues on with the visor open, so he clearly doesn't mind a little bit of sun, although the sun is now hidden behind the main grandstand here, the mighty main grandstand here at the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve. Incidentally, good to see fans in that grandstand watching along here as the Prototype Winter Series race enters its final phase. Of course, still GT Winter Series to come, a full grid of GT3 and Cup machinery before the end of the day's racing. And if you're liking what you're seeing here today, and you're local to Portimão, then do come along, because it's free spectator access here in Winter Series events. So fans come for free and enjoy the racing action. The number 3 car, 12.5 seconds away from the race lead. So again, Bricacek is running nicely there in second place. But again, I don't know, as mighty of an effort as the young American is making, I think the maths isn't quite there in favour of this driver. Absolutely love hearing these 5.6 litre Nissan V8 engines, though. Listen to this one as it powers out of turn 5. So then Wyatt Bricacek through 7 and 8 over the crest. Nice holding of the car there. You saw it getting a little bit squirrely underneath Bricacek as he continues to press on. That was just going through shot there, the race leader Clement Moreno, and you can see that the interval between Moreno and Bricacek still definitely coming down. That didn't feel like 12 seconds to me. Felt more like maybe high 10s, low 11s. Wyatt Bricacek is certainly consistently pumping in the laps that he needs to maybe just maybe be within sight of the lead by the end, but we'll see whether it proves to be enough for anything greater. Danny Sufi, meanwhile, he's in the 1:39s along with Wyatt Bricacek on 1 lap pace. Although, albeit Sufi actually a couple of tenths of laps slower than Wyatt Bricacek right now. The pit handicap coming immediately after the safety car really has hindered, I'll get there eventually, the efforts of Conrad Motorsport's Danny Sufi to a level that is maybe a little bit too much. Oh, Sufi slowing. Sufi is slowing as well. So now the car gets going again. But Danny Sufi was very, very slow there. Now let's listen in. No audio on that at the moment, but sounds fine enough. I was just wondering if you might hear some gear selection issues or something like that, but in fact, yes, it's dying again. Listen. Yeah, no power, no gas on that car. Lights off as well, which tends to indicate maybe something hydraulic, something electrical. Oh, Danny Sufi gets it fired up again, but I don't know, something tells me that car isn't wanting to reach the flag, no matter how much Danny Sufi is. And Kevin Rabin says, well, do you mind awfully if I have a go? Up the inside at turn 3 goes the young 16-year-old Swiss. Sufi holds him off, but Kevin Rabin now has to be wary of the fact that Sufi's car could decelerate at any moment, because we've already seen that Sufi seemingly has some issues in the Ligier. So let's just hope that the ANS... Oh, there you go. And Sufi did very well there to immediately pull the car off circuit. He was very aware of the fact that the ANS Motorsport car was right behind him and made sure to preserve both cars by getting out of the way. Now, will Sufi continue on to try and reach that checkered flag, or is this going to be an early bath for the Conrad Motorsport team? We'll have to wait and see. But Sufi certainly struggling with something there in the cockpit, having to fiddle with the steering wheel, reset everything he possibly can to try and salvage this situation. But Danny Sufi's certainly struggling. and again looking quite slow. So I think this could be the end of the race for Danny Soufi. Of course, this is all promoted Sandro Holzem up into 3rd place, Kevin Rabin up into 4th place, as we saw. And Danny Soufi currently running 5th, but running 5th with most obvious gremlins, still not going at full speed. And again, the lights go out as perhaps he's again trying to just find something, reset the car. Does he continue on? Yes, he does. So Soufi continuing here, trying to get some points on the board in the championship. The Molnar Motorsport number 18 car follows then in 6th place with Rodrigo Almeida at the wheel. Almeida, another driver whose pit stop handicap caused him grief after the safety car came out. Almeida maybe on for 5th place there with Soufi struggling. There's the distinctive Nova Proto then, the Nova NP02. A car that is quite popular in France. There are a few of them populating prototype series in France and migrating their way down to Iberia in the hands of the ANS Motorsport team. The other ANS car, of course, is the race-leading Ligier JSP 320. Clement Moreno at the wheel of that car. And 1 minute and 48 seconds is left on the clock for Clement Moreno. He should be on for a race victory here. 1 minute 40 seconds plus 1 lap left to go, which I think would mean 3 laps of racing, including the one that Moreno is currently on. There goes Rabin then across the line in 4th place. Some 30 seconds back from Sandro Holzem. Such a distinctive engine note on this car versus the LMP3s, as you can hear. Let's just duck out for a second and hear it under acceleration. Very different engine note indeed. It's almost doesn't sound like a V8 at times when you're just waking up in the morning, folded over a coffee as free practice takes place on Saturday morning. But certainly a much different car than the LMP3s, even though it has a similar performance bracket, and indeed, of course, is a prototype racing car. We ride on board with Kevin Rabin, being, as I said, just 16 years old. His first steps into car racing, his first forays into car racing, and something tells me that we're going to see a big development curve out of this youngster as the year goes on. He looked mightily impressive in the first race of the weekend at Estoril, the first ever race in Prototype Winter Series. Goodness me, the wheel was getting out of his hands there, but very impressive in the wet conditions, and I'm sure we'll see him continue to grow as a driver beyond this weekend. Now, where is the sister car? Where's Clement Moreno in the 42 ANS Motorsport car? He's about 1 minute and 13 off of, or 1 minute and 13 clear of Rabin, which should mean he's somewhere around turns 13 and 14. Clement Moreno, our race leader. Clock has hit 0, so I think this is the penultimate lap of the race, and sure enough, there is Clement Moreno now in the 42 car. He's going to begin this final lap, it must be said, with the DKR engineering car a little bit closer than I expected. Still issues here for Danny Soufi, clearly, because he's not only getting lapped, but also very much slower than the leader. But look at the gap. Wyatt Brikacek has driven a magnificent race. 4.2 seconds is the gap now. I rather pessimistically said the gap would be well over 5 seconds still by the end, but Brikacek has just carried on setting 39 after 39 out here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, and while I don't think he's quite going to get to where he wants to be on the rear wing of Clement Moreno, he has given it a really good swing, and I'm sure Chris Short is going to be there with a wry smile watching his young cohort at work. Clement Moreno, though, with a very, very good result, just a few corners away. This is turn 12 of the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, and the next car through shot will be your race leader with just 2 or 3 corners left on the lap. Clement Moreno powers through turn 12 as your race leader. A&S Motorsport have not put a foot wrong with the Ligier JSP 320. And they're about to be rewarded for it. Through turn 14, out of turn 14, comes Clement Moreno. The 42 is the first car across the line. It's Clement Moreno that takes the race win in the Prototype Winter Series. The 42 wins it from the DKR Engineering number 3 car in second place. Danny Soufi fighting what seems to be some sort of electrical issue to cross the line in 6th, sadly a lap down. In 3rd place will be Sandro Holtzum. Sandro Holtzum, who was leading the way pre-safety car, of course looped it as we went back to green flag conditions, and maybe had another issue there because it did look like he was off the pace through turn 14. But Sandro Holtzum comes out of the final corner. Now let's see what Holtzum's last lap was. It was a 1:13:46.4. So yes, Holtzum did have an issue there on the last lap, but nonetheless he finishes 3rd. Next car across the line is the distinctive Nova NP02. Kevin Rabin, the only one running in the Nova class. So he will take a fairly easy 4th place overall and a win in that category. Hopefully we do see more of these spectacular Nova Protos joining us again in March when the Winter Series package has its final leg of the season, Aragon and Barcelona. 71 car across the line. Also across the line, 5th place, Molnar Motorsport, the number 18 car there, just joining Charles Delbrassin across the line. Delbrassin crosses the line to finish 8th. Carl Witz has already crossed the line ahead of him in 7th place. And Rodrigo Almeida there crossing the line in 5th to round out the overall top 5 in that race. A minute and 25 seconds back from the race win. Well, it was a very good effort, it must be said, from Wyatt Bricacek to take 2nd place. But Clement Moreno did enough to hold on to the race win. He and Julien Lemoyne will be delighted with that result, I'm sure. A&S Motorsport can come out of this race with their hopes set on another good result, of course, on Sunday in the 2nd 50-minute race for the Prototype Winter Series. Will soon be greeted, of course, by Lukas Gajewski, who will interview our winning drivers. The top 2 then trundle down toward our podium. Certainly delight for A&S Motorsport, who applaud their man home. Daniel Bjergen taking the opportunity to get some shots as well from in the scrutineering bay. And look at the face there, that tells the story, doesn't it, for Clement Moreno. Beaming smile on Clement Moreno. Julien Lemoyne greeting him. A great result for the number 42 crew. Discussing the race in their native French. Of course, just 89 seconds pit in to pit out, certainly helping them. But Clement Moreno did everything he needed to do to secure the win, take the checkered flag in that 50-minute race for the Prototype Winter Series. And the Ligier JSP 320 of ANS Motorsport is your winning car in race number 1 of the weekend in the prototypes. Wyatt Bricacek, I'm sure, will be happy with his efforts from second. Second place finish for him, fairly strong result, and Chris Short gaining a bit of a free pass out of that mistake that he made early in the race. 3.9 seconds away then, Clement Moreno versus Wyatt Bricacek at the end of the race. Sandro Holtzem rounding out the overall podium in 3rd place. Kevin Rabin in 4th place, the Nova NP02 taking P4. Molnar Motorsports in 5th place, the Duquesne D08 rounding out your overall top 5. Danny Soufi sadly a lap down after what looked to be electrical issues with the Ligier JSP 320. Daniel Kalvitz 2 laps off the lead after his co-driver Steve Parrow managed to get the car into the gravel at turn 13. And Charles Delbrassin taking a steady run to 8th place at the conclusion of the race. Of course, we did have a non-starter, the 88 Inter Europol car. We hope to see that car back out there on Sunday, but quite the recovery job ahead of that team. They had quite a major impact with the barriers at turn 1 in qualifying, but I know that the experienced team, who of course won the LMP2 class at the 24 Hour of Le Mans just a few months ago, will put everything they can into getting that car back out on the circuit, and hopefully Pedro Perino, who was at the wheel, isn't feeling too bad either. So it was 29 laps of racing across those 50 minutes. We've got one 30-minute race to bring you from the GT Winter Series to cap off the first day of racing in Winter Series at the Algarve International Circuit, the Autodromo Internacional da Algarve. And that will be a 30-minute sprint with 25 GT cars taking the start. I expect that one to be quite the thrill ride. But any lap of Portimão is a thrill ride. I've heard the word roller coaster about 26 times. I've heard the word up and down, or the phrase up and down, from every single driver in the paddock to describe this spectacular facility in the south of Portugal. And it has earned every iota of its famous reputation, probably the most beloved of the 21st century tracks. Replays then, I believe we can go to now. So let's take a little bit of a look at the race that was in the Prototype Winter Series. So then we take a look at this moment. It was early in the race, a side-by-side moment between the Molnar LMP3 car and the Nova Proto. The Nova slow in a straight line. Parrow in the gravel causing a safety car. And then, of course, during the pit window, after both cars made a pit stop, Sandro Holtzem, or I should say just before both cars made a pit stop, Sandro Holtzem caught the rejoining car that would eventually win the race and did a wonderful donut, albeit not to celebrate anything, just to try and get the thing going in a straight line. It was worthy of Terry Grant's stunt crew, I must say. Sandro Holtzem with a 9.5 out of 10 donut. Unfortunately, a 0.5 execution of turn 3, and Danny Soufi was struggling a little bit as well. The car maybe progressively getting harder to drive, perhaps because of those electrical issues that ultimately forced him to finish a lap down and have to withdraw from the side of the track. So then we await the GT grid. We also await the drivers on the podium. I think before the drivers come to the podium, we will hear from our race-winning duo of Julien Lemoyne and Clement Moreno. And Lucas Gajewski and Chris McCarthy, of course, down on the ground to bring us the post-race festivities. it's going to be interesting to see what effect that race has on the championship, because Sandra Holtzum didn't score many points out of Estoril. Third place today may well move him up into the strong contention in the championship, but also Lemoyne and Moreno, I think, will be right up there in the championship standings with this result. Of course, finished both races at Estoril and now winning race 3 of the season. Chris McCarthy, meanwhile, is ready on the podium to welcome our winning drivers.
Thank you very much, Adam. Yes, we're getting ready to go for the first podium of the weekend for the Prototype Winter Series. Fantastic to see the cars tearing round in beautiful conditions here at Portimão. Beautiful sounds and sights around the Portimão circuit. And now we get to see the drivers out on the podium. A glorious podium it is as well. Thank you to everyone who's joining us down in pit lane and to all of you around the circuit and on the live stream as well. Let's get some drivers out on the podium, shall we? We're going to get our Class N winner out first of all, then we'll move to our top 3 overall. So please give a big round of applause to all the drivers as they come out. First of all, our Class N winner, number 71, Kevin Rabin. Kevin, just 16 years old, jumping straight up from karting and now going head-to-head with the overall LMP3s, and I think we may even see him on an overall podium very shortly. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job. Okay, let's go to the overall LMP3 podium next. Finishing in third place was the number 33, Sandro Holtzem. Well done, Sandro. Drove a fantastic race there. And now we come to the number 3 car, the DKR engineering car. A superb drive from these guys. Dropped down a little bit, but drove back through the order very, very well. Finishing in second in the first race, Chris Short and Wyatt Brikarczyk. Well done, guys. Drove a fantastic race overall. DKR Engineering, a superb team at this level, and proving that once again in the Prototype Winter Series, but winning the first ever Prototype Winter Series race around the Portimão circuit was number 42, Julien Lemoyne and Clement Moreno. Well done, guys. ANS Motorsport with 2 cars on the podium. Kevin Rabin on there and also on the top step of the podium as well. Well done, guys. Now we will get the Gedlich Racing guys to present the trophies. The team will come out to present all the trophies. Don't be shy, guys. There we go. The drivers are ready and waiting, and then we will hear from the drivers as well. Danny's going to get some pictures, and then we will go straight down to the next race. We still have one more race to go today, but well done to all the drivers. We'll start by hearing from Kevin. Smile for the camera, guys. Smile for the guys down in pit lane as well. Don't be shy, guys. I want to speak to a driver from each team. We're going to start with Kevin first of all. Kevin, you're doing a fantastic job. How does it feel to be racing against these guys in the LMP3 in the Class N?
Well, there's a lot of levels, so yeah, it's really hard, and I fought hard to get in the pack, but yeah, the pace is missing. It's my first time here in the Prototype, so we're getting ahead of it, but yeah.
And a fantastic job by your team. Let's go up to the top step next. We'll speak to yourself. Fantastic job out there overall. How is it driving one of the LMP3 cars around here?
It was not really simple because we don't drive on the dry conditions, for 3 years, and it was our first time in P3 here in Portimão in a dry condition. I didn't know I was first during all of the race because I have no radio.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I just discovered that at the end, and I just try to put the pace the maximum. And this morning it's not start really well because of a crash, and now we are first. So congrats to my teammate, to my team, and thank you.
I'm sure we'll be speaking to your teammate at some point tomorrow. For now, we'll focus on yourself, Clement. Who would you like to thank for this?
Sorry?
Who would you like to thank? Who would you like to thank for the result?
Thank? Yeah, by my team. My team, sorry. I'm a bit tired. And all of the people who support me in the sport, and that's it.
We'll get plenty of rest, guys. We'll be back, I'm sure, to speak to yourself, Julien, tomorrow as well. We're going to speak to one driver from each. We spoke to Wyatt earlier, so yeah, we did. Whilst you were out on racing incident there, racing incident. Did you catch that one, guys? They caught that one on the podium camera right up there. Okay. So they'll get that one. Chris, podium. That feels good.
Very happy with that. Yeah. I think the safety car helped us. Wyatt did a fantastic job. We just needed 2 more laps, I think, at the end, and maybe we could have been in there. But no, really good fun, and team did a great job as well. So, but yeah, especially to Wyatt, super fast out there.
Think we can go one better tomorrow?
I think so. We're going to certainly have a good go at it.
Good stuff. Well done. I'm not going to fall over this time. I'm going to very gently. There you go. Walk away. There we go. That's much more composed. Right, let's come around and speak to third place, Sandro. Sandro, good race overall. Great fighting up at the front. Third place in the end and good points in the back.
Yeah, that's true. We did a little mistake in the middle of the race. I spun in turn 3, but yeah, it's hard with the 30 seconds more with the only silver driver then. Yeah, but I think at the end P3 is okay.
I mean, maybe not the result you wanted, but are you looking, at the long picture ahead? You know, it is a 4-round championship. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking also forward for tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be better, and yeah, we go for the win tomorrow.
Congratulations, guys. Well done to our prototype Winter Series drivers. Well done, guys. Congratulations. Give them one more round of applause, guys, up in the crowd. I think you would have enjoyed that one. Well done. Congratulations to all our drivers, guys. Well done. We'll see you again tomorrow for another fantastic race. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, Wyatt. Superb job from all of you. Below me, you can see GT Winter Series is heading onto the grid. That's where we're heading next. We are almost good to go for the last race of the day here in sunny Portimão. It's race number 1 for the GT Winter Series. A great bunch and a great mix of 23 GT cars coming up for you. Mainly, of course, GT3 cars joined by a very nice group of Ferrari Cup cars, Lamborghini Trofeo Cup cars, and of course, very, very quick and competitive Porsche Cup cars just as well. We are still waiting for the car from the pole setters, SR Racing. They rebranded part of the Schnitzelalm Racing team, very successful in the past of the GT Winter Series. They are going to be lining up here on pole position after Jamo Hertling took pole position earlier on today in qualifying. Over there, it's going to be the HRT team, another Mercedes-AMG team, well known, of course, from the DTM. And then in the second row of the grid, you can already spot the fabulous white Lamborghini car number 6, one of the main contenders just a week ago in Estoril. But there is your pole setter, Jamo Hertling, in the number 11 SR racing car. Kenneth Heyer, his co-driver, joining as well. So is Werner Eichinger. Yes, of course. He wants to have a word with Jamo as well. Let's speak to Kenneth then for a second. Obviously, not a very busy day for you in the next few minutes, because you can watch how Jamo does. What are you expecting for today's race, Kenneth?
Oh, I think it will be very tough between the two guys. They were on the same, or we are the two total last 3 days on the same level. So it will be a hard fight. But yeah, Jamo impressed a lot in Estoril, his first GT3 outing. And yeah, we're looking forward. Will be a tough fight, I think.
And please tell us a bit about the team itself. As I said earlier, it's now been rebranded SR Racing as part of Schnitzelalm Racing's huge development program.
Yeah, they want to divide a bit or he was a bit the two parts, the GT4 with the young guys. So the Schnitzler Racing will be the future young talent club, to say it like that. And all the GT3 races like GT Masters or the 24 Nürburgring and so on. And here is under SR Motorsport.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. And of course, we are very much looking forward to seeing you in the car tomorrow, just as well as Werner Eichinger finishes his chat with JMO. Werner, of course, a very experienced race director, actually went to do the Formula One Grand Prix in Hockenheim in earlier days. Shake hands with JMO. JMO, it's pole position for you. Very successful day so far for Schnitzler Racing. Do you think you can add up to this?
Yeah, we hope so, no? For a good race. I give my best.
And how is it to fly around the circuit like Portimão in a very, very professional GT3 car?
Oh, it's unbelievable, really.
Thank you very much, Damon. All the best for the race. So that's your pole setter, one of the two AMG GT3 Mercs, as the 3-minute board is shown. This is a very interesting project here as well this weekend. This is the Haupt racing team. Hubert Haupt, former DTM racer himself, is the team owner, normally competing in DTM and in various important endurance races around the globe. We can see Manuel Reuter there supporting the team just as well, listening in with Werner Eichinger, who is already briefing the second-placed man on the grid just as well, namely Finn Wiebelhaus, very young racer there at Haupt Racing Team, using the GT Winter Series to get some practice in before they will enter the ADAC GT Masters later this year, this being the championship running alongside the DTM package in order to provide some talent for the next few DTM seasons. Manuel Reuter, of course, wanting to have a word as well. Of course, timing always very short on the grid, and Manuel providing very, very important experience after decades of racing himself. Let's see if we head somewhere else or if we stick to Finn and try to get a word in with him. Otherwise, let's take a look into the second row of the grid already. As I said, the Lewandowski Lamborghini is down there in third. Watch out for this car at the start, because of course the Lamborghini Trofeo car is running unrestricted with a huge amount of power. Power also being very important for Finn Wiebelhaus ahead of his debut in GT Winter Series. Finn, it's great to have you on the grid, and I think it's been going quite well so far today, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a good qualifying, to be honest. Starting now on P2 and the next two races on P1. Really looking forward to the race.
Thank you very much, Finn, and all the best. So there we are. This is your front row. It's just 1 minute left. Engines are being fired up. A very short ad break coming up, and then it's going to be Adam Weller with the commentary for race number 1 of the weekend in GT Winter Series, live from Portimão.
Let's get ready to rumble then with the GT Winter Series grid. Well over 20 cars set to take the start in this one. And as we saw on the grid, there it is, an all-Mercedes AMG GT3 front row. However, they only now just get started. The safety car left them for dust there. The SR Motorsport number 11 entry of JMO Hartling is our pole sitter for this race then, alongside the very, very talented Haupt Racing Team driver Finn Wiebelhaus. Finn Wiebelhaus in the Haupt Racing Team Mercedes-AMG GT3. As we saw, that is our front row of the grid. Our second row of the grid is Adrian Lewandowski in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo car. Expect that thing to be very quick at towards the first corner, may even lead early on. Christian Hook is next for Rinaldi Racing in the Ferrari 296 GT3. Then it's the first of the Cup 2 class cars, the Porsche 992 GT3 Cups. Alex Hart at the wheel for lap time performance. Then it's Piotr Vera in the Mercedes-AMG, another Mercedes there towards the front of the pack. Row 4 of the grid is Villeco Motorsports' Pablo Bras, the number 951 car, another Porsche Cup car alongside the 177 BDR competition by Grupo Prom Lamborghini Huracan of Alfredo Hernandez. Drakkar Motorsports' Leandro Martins in a new number 911 car purchased from last year's champion Johannes Kupfinger. He starts alongside lap time performances Demir Hott. Then on row 6, it's just going to be Pelin Racing and Thor Haugen because Louis Stern had a big crash in qualifying. He's okay, car is not. Row 7, Hubert Darmetko alongside AF Corsa's Motohiko Isozaki. Row 8 of the grid, Sunda Motorworks, Morten Stromsted alongside Alessio Raffini of Autosport Racing. Row 9 of the grid, PTT Racing's Igor Klaya alongside Talal Shahir of AF Corsa. Another AF Corsa car, John Dillon on row 10 alongside Uwe Lauer of De Beermacher Racing. Przemysław Bienkowski on row 11 for PTT Racing alongside Werner Panhauser in the 128 car. Our final row of the grid will be Villeco Motorsports' Pedro Miguel Bras, the 952, alongside another Villeco car, Pedro Silvero. 24 cars then set to take the start of this race. Matthias Lizowski and Leonardo both not set to take the start. So then 23 cars total with 3 absent, but still a hugely strong entry list here. Again, keep an eye on the GT3 Poland Lamborghini from the inside of row number 2. Adrian Lewandowski has a big pin to pull in the form of that unrestricted 5.2 litre V10 under his right foot. And let's see whether he can maybe surge past the Mercedes-AMGs in the early going. It's 2 very promising young talents in AMG GT3s on the first row of the grid. Jamo Hartling, Finn Weibelhaus. The red lights are on. And the red lights finally will go out and we will go racing. We are underway in Portimão and immediately to the front of the order is Jamo Hartling, the Lamborghini, not quite showing out in the manner expected and in fact gets swallowed up there. Up to 3rd overall then goes the number 2 of Alex Hart. Alex Hart with a very good start. Christian Hook there in 4th position. So Christian Hook in the 115 car getting a really good start. The Lamborghini really getting swallowed up. Everybody else seems to be A-OK in the early stages, but the 2 AMG GT3s at the front of the order, something tells me that's going to be the story of the race, the battle of the race, as those 2 duke it out. Everybody else looking for track space. Piotr Vera there having to avoid the gold Lamborghini, the Grupo Prom car of Alfredo Hernandez. Everybody else making their way through the first few corners. Thor Haugen there looking to try and find a little bit of track space there. Demir Hott up the inside of him. Those 2 had some good scraps last time out at Portimão as well, Estoril as well. Good to see that that's continuing on into Portimão, and what a sight it is to see these spectacular GT3 and numerous various single-make GT cars all fighting each other. Of course, Alex Hart, a very quick driver, just already 3rd overall in that 992 GT3 Cup car. There's Piotr Vera just trying to find a way through in the number 14 Mercedes-AMG. That's up against John Dillon in the 151 AF Corsa Ferrari. Numerous shapes of Ferrari, of course, up and down the grid. 488 Challenge and GT3 cars, also the 296 GT3 as well. That Matrix Media-backed Goodspeed car that we ride on board with has been lauded by the media team for the livery so far this week. I think that car has had a good number of lenses pointed at it, and Piotr Vera for Goodspeed Racing running in 8th place across the line at the end of the first lap, facing a lot of very talented drivers in Cup cars that have different strengths and weaknesses as opposed to the GT3. Great to hear that 6.2 litre naturally aspirated engine in the Mercedes-AMG GT3. Of course, they still run that big naturally aspirated unit in the GT3 cars. And Piotr Vera, after maybe just struggling a little bit in the early stages, is now going to try and go Cup car hunting, I suspect. Hubert Darmetko, Leandro Martins and Pablo Bras all ahead of him, and maybe going to come under fire as this race continues on. Now, Adrian Lewandowski has crossed the line to complete the first lap, but hasn't registered on the timing screen, so I fear that he may have a transponder issue, but we see him running in P7 out there on the circuit, so that's something to bear in mind, that we might have a Super Trofeo that is somewhat invisible on our timing screens. Meanwhile, Thor Haugen and Demir Hotter still side by side, second in this long queue of cars, as they go down through 10, 11 and 12. Really interesting to see. There's the 20 car, the lap time performance number 20, all over the back of Thor Haugen in the red and white Ferrari GT3 machine. They're just behind John Dillon as well. So 3 very different cars, a Ferrari Challenge car followed by a GT3 Ferrari and a Porsche Cup car, really duking it out. This for 10th overall. Thor Haugen loving Portimão, said not quite Spa in terms of elevation change, but quite close to it. And, well, Demir Hott is certainly very close to Thor Haugen at all times. These two seem to find each other and race each other on a regular basis. Both North Americans. Demir Hott from Canada, Thor Haugen from the US. And just behind them is Igor Klaya as well. And then the Japanese racer, Motohiko Isozaki, for AF Corsa. First time we see him this year. And then the Cup 3 class car behind, that's Stromstedt in the 991 Porsche, the slightly older Porsche 991 Cup car. Up the inside, though, goes Igor Klaya, and bumping across the sausage curb goes Thor Haugen. Loses out to Isozaki as well then. Thor Haugen dropping through the order. At the front of the pack, the 2 Mercedes-AMG GT3s are absolutely disappearing up the road. 7.8 seconds, the gap between first and third place. Over 7 seconds between second and third as well, as the 128 PTT racing car was getting into it a little bit there, or I should say MS Racing. But there's the 2 Mercedes-AMG GT3s then. Jamo Hartling with marginally more experience in a GT3 car. His first weekend in GT3 machinery was last weekend at Estoril here in the GT Winter Series. For Finn Weibelhaus, this is weekend numero uno in a GT3 car after running previously in Formula 4 competition throughout Europe, and, well, making the big step up towards a front-engine GT3 car after Formula 4s is no mean feat, but everybody has been hugely impressed by his performances across the week in testing in very wet conditions. Like everyone else, his first dry running around the circuit will have been this morning in the one free practice session they were afforded before quali. And certainly taking to Portimão, taking to the Mercedes-AMG very well indeed. A great scrap between the two of them. Neither man can blame his tools in this battle. It is a fight with equal machinery, and Jamo Hartling currently staving off Finn Weibelhaus. Jamo Hartling will be in GT3s for the next couple of years. I think GT3 is very much the direction that his career is going in, a phase that he is starting off here in the GT Winter Series. And as for Finn Weibelhaus, the youngster, still, I believe, with ADAC backing, is very much trying to stamp his authority on the GT scene at his very first attempt. great to see these two cars running in this light as well as the sun starts to go down. These cars look all the more spectacular running through this Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. You see there's more vibration going through the rear wing there of the Haupt Racing Team Mercedes. Looks a little bit more wobbly as the speed picks up versus Jamo Hartling's SR Motorsport car run by the Schnitzelhelm team. They're some 15 seconds clear of Alex Hart in third place. Christian Hook is just behind Hart and maybe looking for his way through, but still a bit of a gap between them. This is one of the closer battles out on circuit for the lead, and it's a battle that is very quickly disappearing up the road from everybody else in this race. Two Mercedes looking absolutely fabulous as they fight it out, and Finn Weibelhaus, despite being a very young man, I've gotten the impression over the course of the week that he's also quite a wise young man as well. Hasn't pushed it over the limit terribly much this week, and well, he's now got the dangled carrot of a race lead just ahead of him, and maybe that's what it takes to get him to dig deeper into the bag of tricks, take those brave pills out and go for a move or two. I'll have to wait and see whether it happens. Certainly for now, he's just a couple of car lengths back, as he has been for the last couple of laps, and not quite close enough for a move for the lead at this juncture. But he'll be studying Jamo Hartling. He'll be studying where his car is giving him the most confidence, and maybe trying to make a move. Isosaki, meanwhile, in the AF Corsa Ferrari Challenge car, under some pressure there from the 128 of Werner Panhauser, who started outside the top 20 and has made some good positions. Panhauser now up into 16th, in fact make that 17th place. I think Isosaki has lost out on this lap. He has indeed. Demir Hott there up the inside, meanwhile, of Hernandez. So it looks as though Alfredo Hernandez might be just struggling a little bit. Thor Haugen under pressure from Igor Klyer. He's still stuck behind John Dillon as well. That's another battle that seems to be going on in perpetuity. And Thor Haugen has just got up the inside there of John Dillon. Now Dillon has the straight line speed advantage theoretically in the challenge car, but of course the last corner very much quicker in a GT3 machine, and I think John Dillon has dropped too far back there to be a consideration for Thor Haugen as the 20 and the 177 car continue on. I think now that Demir Hott has gotten past the golden Lamborghini of Hernandez, I don't see the car coming back at him. I think that Hernandez not quite got the same pace as Demir Hott in this scenario. And before you besmirch a golden Lamborghini, I'll have you know there was a limited edition Diablo in 2001 in pretty much that exact colour scheme. So a golden Lamborghini with historic precedent, a very spectacular looking car as well. But it is all kicking off just behind these two. Further back in the pack, Demir Hott, though up into the overall top 10 once again, had some really good results in the overall considerations last time out in Estoril, and certainly impressing everybody with some of his driving in these races. Stefan Rudzinski, his driver coach, will be watching on, and will also take the wheel in the endurance race. There's Thor Haugen just ahead of the battles further back in the team positions, and Stromstedt all over the grill of, all over the rear wing, I should say, of John Dillon in the older 991 Cup car up the inside and passed at turn 13. And unfortunately, John Dillon, the gate left open, also allowing the 128 car through of Werner Panhauser. So Stromstedt up into 14th place, I believe, with that move in the older 991 Porsche, which theoretically should be somewhere in the region of maybe 2 seconds a lap slower than the 992s, but doing a very good job, running very quickly, is Stromstedt, who races in his native Denmark, I believe even in Formula 4 racing out there. The 151 car, though, of John Dillon looming large, and of course he's got to worry as well about Motohiko Isozaki just behind him. Isozaki very good in these 488 Challenge Evo cars. the Copper Shell Am champion in Ferrari Challenge Europe in 2023. Thor Haugen still adapting to this GT3 machinery, and well, he's going to have to adapt to Igor Klaya having a lunge up the inside, probably in the not too distant future, because Igor Klaya is known to be a driver that doesn't hold many bars, as it were. He's a very ambitious driver at times, likes to go for the lunge when the opportunity presents itself, and we'll see if he can get close enough to try and have a go at Thor Haugen. Out front, it is still pretty much even Stevens between the top two, but it's very close for third place at the moment. They're going through the first couple of corners of the lap right now. Alex Hart and Christian Hook, and sure enough, Christian Hook is through into third place. He'd been closing on Alex Hart for the last couple of laps, and Hook has gotten through. However, Alex Hart, a driver that I certainly will not underestimate. You may see some of his onboard videos on YouTube. Quite a few of them get very popular. He is someone that can really pedal, and I don't think he's going to let Christian Hook just disappear up the road. Of course, Hook in the Ferrari 296 should be quicker on paper. The 296 should have the pace advantage, but what's wrong with Alex Hart? Alex Hart's car, emergency lights on, and now the emergency lights can sometimes come on because the pit limiter is on, but I think in this case it's just a signal that something is amiss with the car, and it starts to roll back down the hill. Alex Hart, unfortunately, with some kind of mechanical malady, less than halfway into the race, and his race may well be over. Christian Hook disappears up the road then into third place. The two Mercedes AMG GT4s at the front, GT3s at the front of the order, already dealing with some lap traffic as they come past my commentary position on the main straight. They've now managed to dispatch the car that was between them on the main straight. I think it was the Villico Motorsport entered Ferrari Challenge machine of Pedro Silveiro. The top two then will head over the crest of the hill and into this yellow flag area where Alex Hart has come to a halt. Jamo Hartling a bit deep there into the corner, but manages to get a good run out of the turn as a result. And well, Alex Hart's emergency lights are out. What can we do to try and move that car? It's not in a really dangerous position. It's not in the line of fire, but it's also far from ideal to have a car in that position. Jamo Hartling and Finn Weibelhaus will probably be hoping that the race stays green, because they've managed to distance themselves from the chasing pack. The last thing they'd want to do is get caught by them. However, the safety car has just come out. So, I'm afraid, Jamo and Finn, your private party has just become a public gathering, because the safety car is going to come out and the field is going to be compacted. They're about to hit some serious lap traffic there, as you can see. Uwe Lauer, among others there. Just behind him, the spectacular all-carbon fibre number 30 Autosport Racing Lamborghini of Alessio Ruffini. We ride on board with Uwe Lauer in the 72 car. A race winner, of course, at Estoril. Did really very well indeed under the very tricky conditions we had at Estoril. It was pouring down with rain during race 2, but he managed to take the win and very much impressed his driver coach and co-driver Francesco Lopez in the process. Impressed me as well. It was a great performance from Uwe Lauer. He only found out he won the race in the podium, because or underneath the podium, because Christian Hook had finished in front of him, albeit Christian Hook had some penalties hanging over his head for overtaking under safety car. So then the Uwe Lauer machine is released by the safety car, because they're trying to pick up the leading Mercedes AMG GT3s. What an incredible sensation this must be for these drivers competing at this circuit. I mean, just looking through the windscreen of Uwe Lauer's car, it really is beautiful here at Portimão today. A richly deserved day in the sun for our paddock, it must be said, after being soaked through and often blown away during the week of race tests that Gedlich Racing operated ahead of this meeting. But the safety car is out and will have picked up our leaders then, so Jamo Hartling and Finn Weibelhaus are about to have far more busy rear-view mirrors as they return to, or as the pack returns to them. Alex Hart being towed away then, unfortunately. Not how he would have hoped to end that race. He was just getting into it with Christian Hook, of course. Perhaps Christian Hook had closed in on him because the car was starting to struggle. But certainly not how he wanted to see Alex Hart make his first appearance of the season in the GT Winter Series. A lap time performance with their engineering being done this year by Moritz Kranz, the incredibly fast driver who frequents international GT racing and particularly a very solid hand indeed on the Nordschleife. He, I think, is starting to look towards his future in the mid-long term and wanting to get involved in the engineering side of things in addition to his racing efforts. And well, he's going to have to take a look at Alex Hart's Porsche and figure out exactly what has happened to it after this race has concluded. 11 minutes and 45 seconds of this race left to go. When the clock hits 0, that is the final lap. And well, we're going to have to see quite how things shape up once the race resumes. One would expect that the AMG GT3s will disappear up the road again. They've got some lap traffic between themselves and Christian Hook in third place. But anything is possible when you bunch the field back together, that much is for certain. Your order then at this stage of the race is Jamo Hartling out front in the SR Motorsport Mercedes AMG GT3. In second place, it's Finn Weibelhaus in the Haupt Racing Team Mercedes AMG GT3. Christian Hook is third in the Ferrari 296 GT3 car. Fourth place for the Cup 4 entry, Adrian Lewandowski for GT3 Poland. Cup 4, of course, reserved for the Super Trofeo Spec Lamborghinis. Pablo Bras, I should say, is next. Villico Motorsport 951 entry, the Porsche 992 Cup car leading the way. And I must say that's very impressive from Pablo Bras to be leading that class because that car only showed up last night, as the entire Villico Motorsport team did. So really a very, very impressive performance indeed from Pablo Bras. He's just ahead of Leandro Martins, who we see on our onboard camera there in the blue and yellow Porsche. You may recognize those as the signature colors of the Kapfingers. Johannes Kapfinger using that very car to win the GT Winter Series in the 2022-2023 season, back when the GT Winter Series would take place either side of Christmas. But it was purchased during the week after that huge incident for Leandro Martins. Contact with Adrian Lewandowski on the first lap of the race, leaving him in the Armco barriers. And that was a big drama and a big hit. And thankfully, driver okay. Car was not okay. That's okay, just buy another one. Safety car is in this lap. Then we are going to return to racing conditions with Jamo Hartling at the front of the order. Finn Weibelhaus will be looking to try and take the opportunity presented here as we go into the final 10 minutes of racing. Weibelhaus for Haupt Racing Team. Let's see if Finn can try and get on the trigger that little bit earlier. Jamo Hartling has already haired off. He doesn't want to wait. He's not going to mess around. He pulls the pin and we go back to racing conditions. Weibelhaus follows suit. Then behind, everybody else gets started, albeit, of course, the safety car line has now only just been passed. And look at this. This is for third place. Adrian Lewandowski in the white Lamborghini just behind Christian Hook in the 115 car. That's for third place. There goes the 951 Porsche, though. So Lewandowski losing 1-2 positions, as a matter of fact. The Porsches are swallowing the Lamborghini whole here like a large Amazon snake. The Porsches disappear, make their way past the Lamborghini and say, well, see you later, mate. The good speed racing car, Piotr Vera, we ride on board with him. Adrian Lewandowski going defensive into the next corner, which is, of course, the hairpin at turn 5. But we've got to change for leading Cup 2 because Leandro Martins, in his new unfamiliar car, gets past Pablo Bras, and Pablo Bras also overtaken by Demir Hott there, second in Cup 2, still under contest as they come through 7 and 8. Turn 7, turn 8, just over that hill there. We'll see them back down into turn 9, but I'm not sure what order they're going to be in. We really need to get a closer look at that. It is the leading car in Cup 2 still, the Leandro Martins machine. So Leandro Martins now leading in Cup 2, 2 and 3 wide further back in the pack as everyone tries to find some room for themselves. But there's the lead battle in Cup 2. So down to 4th place now has gone Demir Hott. He was second in class momentarily. Everybody else trying to find their way through. That's John Dillon putting a lap on one of the Villico Motorsport entries. But Christian Hook still trying to find his way past the AF Corsa Ferrari that was put down a lap. That's the 220 car of Talal Shahir. Now Shahir is a lap down, as I said, but he's also got the Challenge Evo car, which is quicker in a straight line. And Christian Hook says, do you realise you're a lap down? Flashing the headlights, wanting to get past, because Leandro Martins is right there behind him. Talal Shahir does allow them through, and now has the Cup 2 battle coming up behind him as well. This is second in Cup 2, the 951, the 951 and the 7 car, Hubert Darmetko and Leandro Martins, or rather, Hubert Darmetko and Demir Hott, I should say. So many cars all at once here. But the great battle we have here for third overall between the Cup 2 leader and Christian Hook in the GT3 Ferrari shows no signs of letting up in the slightest. Christian Hook will be watching through the rearview mirror and trying to contemplate how to stop Leandro Martins, who we've seen to be a very, very fast peddler at Estoril. Of course, took second overall, much to the delight of the home fans at Estoril just last weekend in race number 1. There's the battle for second in Cup 2, and I'll correct myself, it's Pablo Bras and Hubert Darmetko in the battle for second in Cup 2 right now. Here they come through shot. Adrian Lewandowski just behind them, and then it's Piotr Vera in the Mercedes-AMG GT3. There's the number 20 car of Demir Hott. Then it's the 177 of Alfredo Hernandez. Spectacular golden Lamborghini. That car rounds out our overall top 10 just ahead of Thor Haugen right now. 5 minutes and change left to go in this race then, and here comes the Lamborghini power for Adrian Lewandowski. Hubert Darmetko powerless to stop the Lamborghini from drawing alongside him and indeed getting past him as they go through the first corner. Adrian Lewandowski was struggling as we went back to green flag, but I think the tyres have now warmed up underneath him and he's ready to go Porsche hunting, as is Piotr Vera there, who was looking to the inside. Piotr Vera in the Mercedes-AMG from Good Speed Racing. Great to have them for the first time this season. Doubtless see more of that team as the year continues on in the GT Winter Series. And that Lamborghini looks like the car that's really causing dilemmas now for the Porsche drivers. Once again, now that Adrian Lewandowski seems to have got some heat into the tyres, that thing is looking very, very quick indeed. He's just behind Pablo Bras in the 951 car. Now that machine being driven by the Spanish GT champion of 2023, Pablo Bras. So that is a driver who certainly has some good credentials, as does that man Leandro Martins, leading Cup 2. But it must be said, Pablo Bras is closing in on him, as is Adrian Lewandowski. But of course they're in a separate class. All of these single make machines, they have their own class rather than competing up against each other. But the drivers don't typically care about that. They just want to race each other. And in the same spirit, Piotr Vera is just getting himself past Hubert Darmetko. That's a move for 7th overall. And Darmetko dispatched then by the AMG GT3, and through goes Adrian Lewandowski as well. Lewandowski gets himself past Pablo Bras for 5th overall. So now Adrian Lewandowski is currently doing Leandro Martins a favour, because he's now a buffer between Leandro Martins and Pablo Bras in the Cup 2 lead battle. However, if Lewandowski closes in on the 911 car, there is the blue and yellow machine. I suspect that very quickly Lewandowski is going to be less of a help and more of a hindrance. We'll have to see if the Lamborghini can get there. Certainly Lewandowski seems to have the bit between his teeth at the moment in this battle for 4th overall. Your lead battle has not changed, incidentally. Jamo Hartling still just holding a little under a second over Finn Weibelhaus, but I expect this battle for 4th place is about to spice up, because sure enough, Adrian Lewandowski is at a rate of knots closing in on the Racar Motorsport machine of Leandro Martins. Christian Hook will emerge through turn 12 and then be followed by Adrian Lewandowski right on the back of Leandro Martins. The good thing about Leandro purchasing Johannes Kapfinger's old car is that half of it is fluorescent yellow, just as Leandro's original chassis was. Now onto the main straight. I suspect this Lamborghini is once again going to open up the taps and may well be through by the time they get to the first corner. Will it be that easy? Well, maybe not, because it's not an amazing run out of the corner, but there goes the Lamborghini. There goes that straight line speed. It's already a nose ahead as they go over the start line. And sure enough, yes, by the time they get to turn 1, Adrian Lewandowski has made up yet another position. A Lamborghini plus a straight line seems to be a cheat code in the GT Winter Series at the moment. Adrian Lewandowski then up into 4th place overall. He is the first of the non-GT3 machines in this race, just behind Christian Hook. I think Christian Hook 5 seconds up the road is a bit of a bridge too far for Adrian Lewandowski, but he has done a very good job of getting himself past the Porsches, using that straight line speed of the Super Trofeo Spec Huracan and deploying it exactly when needed. The Mercedes AMG of Piotr Vera in P7 overall, just hounding the back of Pablo Bras, who is of course himself still trying to close in on Leandro Martins in an attempt to reclaim the Cup 2 lead. Piotr Vera, for good speed racing, would love to try and get a top 6 finish out of this race. Our top 2 come across the line to start the final lap of the race, and it is still Jamo Hartling in the lead. And as we go on to this final lap, Finn Weibelhaus will be all too aware that time is against him in this one. The Haupt Racing team will be willing on their young driver in his first GT3 race, but they'll also be willing him to give them a car that's ready for Sunday without any need for repair bills. I think Weibelhaus may well decide that discretion is the better part of valour. That said, he has been aggressively flashing the headlights from pretty much moment 1 of this motor race. Jamo Hartling for now, though, with the advantage. 2 relatively inexperienced GT3 drivers, albeit Jamo Hartling has a couple of years of GT4 under his belt, whereas this driver, Finn Weibelhaus, is brand new, very wide, going through the turn 7-8 sequence there. Weibelhaus, on his first non-single-seater car race in his career, has still got half a lap or so, well, maybe a third of a lap or so to try and secure this win. But I think it is just a bit too much to ask of the youngster. Jamo Hartling then just 2 corners away from a second win of his season. Out of the penultimate corner, nearly flat through the final turn, just a little hesitation off the throttle. He can now punch it and head toward the checkered flag. It is going to be a race win then for Jamo Hartling. Hartling takes victory from Finn Weibelhaus in second place. A great result once again for SR Motorsport. Third place across the line is going to be Christian Hook in the Rinaldi Racing 115 car, but here's the battle for 5th overall. Here's our brilliant cameraman Piotr Vera as the Cup 2 battle comes to a head at the closing stages of this race. The Porsche Cup element of this race always very exciting in the Cup 2 class, and it is going to be Leandro Martins across the line in 5th overall by the looks of it. Adrian Lewandowski crosses the line to finish 4th. And then 5th across the line will be Leandro Martins. And just getting through into 6th place there was Piotr Vera. Pablo Bras exiting stage right there, and stage left there, I should say. I expected him to cut back across the Mercedes AMG, but it never happened. So Pablo Bras losing a position there right at the end. 7th for him, for Pablo Bras, I should say, behind Piotr Vera in 6th. Darmetko, Demir Hot and Alfredo Hernandez rounding out our top 10 after yet another frenetic GT Winter Series race. They're still coming across the line in their droves. The Cup 1 win going to John Dillon just ahead of Motohiko Isozaki. A great battle between them at the end of the race. Uwe Lauer we ride on board with there. He crosses the line in P18. Of course, Uwe will share with Francesco Lopez in the third and final endurance race, and we can expect that onboard shot to feature a good amount of overtaking once Francesco Lopez takes the helm later on. The spectacular all-carbon Lamborghini, the number 30 car of Alessio Ruffini, crosses the line there in tandem with the 952 car of Pedro Miguel Bras, the Vilico Motorsport entry. There is another of the Vilico cars just crossing the line, Pedro Silvero in the Ferrari Challenge machine. That is an Evo Spec Ferrari Challenge, and good to see Vilico Motorsport giving the AF Corsa cars a little bit of competition here in the GT Winter Series. It's great that this grid has grown so much since Estoril, and I'm confident that we're going to have spectacular entries all throughout the season in GT Winter Series. Now the Marshal directing the wrong car away there, unfortunately, so we're not going to have Finn Weibelhaus down towards the podium, but hopefully Finn can sprint his way down. He is a teenage athlete, he should have the cardio to do it, but the Marshal putting Finn Weibelhaus away from the podium and indeed the weighbridge. There is Adrian Lewandowski, who was 4th place. And of course winning among the Lamborghinis in the Cup 4 class. But delight again for Jamo Hartling, who really is coming on strong as a GT3 racer. We'll see him, of course, in the endurance race as well. He'll hand over to Kenneth Heyer for tomorrow's race. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the experienced Kenneth Heyer deals with Finn Weibelhaus in the race. Pass the glasses, pass the gloves, please. That's Jill down there from Equip Vitesse, just dealing with Jamo Hartling. And I know they can hear me, so hi guys. But Jamo Hartling looking warm after that 30-minute race, and to be fair, Finn Weibelhaus didn't give him much time to relax, did he? It was full gas all the way through that race. And there you go, the embraces from the SR Motorsport crew. Of course, SR Motorsport, as Lukas Gajewski explained, kind of the international expansion for the Schnitzelhelm racing team that seems to enter an armada of cars every single time in the Nürburgring series. Great to see Jamo held aloft. Tim Neuser there, one of the crew members there, lifting Jamo Hartling. But Jamo, he is very popular indeed, isn't he, at this moment? His first solo race win in a GT3 car as well, so that is a big day for young Jamo Hartling of SR Motorsport. So then the number 11 car is the car that will be on the metaphorical top step of the podium, of course, because you can't get a car on the podium, but Jamo Hartling will get up there and celebrate his win in due course. I'm sure Lukas Gajewski will be there to jump and get an interview with Jamo Hartling very shortly. Beautiful shots then of the Autodromo Internacional Algarve as this race day comes to an end. We'll have 5 more races to bring you on Sunday here at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. By no means is this weekend over. In fact, it's barely gotten started. The Sunday is always hectic and action-packed in the Winter Series weekend. So if you're here on the stream, if you're here in person, make sure you're with us again tomorrow, because the racing will be even more spectacular, I'm sure, when it comes to Sunday. And it will be interesting to see whether the Schnitzelalm SR garage can get some more wins, because, of course, the Schnitzelalm 11 car took the win in the hands of Joel Mesh earlier on. And Jamo Hartling for SR Motorsport took the win in that GT Winter Series race. And I understand that Lucas is down there now with Jamo Hartling. So let's hear Jamo's perspective on the race.
Jamo Hartling with a lights to flag victory here in race 1 in Portimão. Congratulations, Jamo. However, I think it was quite a good competition there with Finn, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very hard fight between the HRT car and me, but yeah, we are still constantly driving and yeah, bring it to an end.
And when did it get the closest with Finn? Was that after the safety car period?
Really, I doesn't look so many times in the mirror, but I think after the first start it was the closest part of the race. Yeah.
And of course a busy day coming up tomorrow with another sprint race, and then of course the endurance. You will be sharing the car with Kenneth, and I think he's very proud of you as well.
Yeah, but Kenneth also do a very great job. Like my team, the best team ever, and yeah, I hope for the endurance race and also for the sprint race for Kenneth, he will do a great job. And the endurance, we do it together and rock it.
Enjoy the podium, Jamo. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Jamo Hartling there talking to Lukas Gajewski, and we'll see him onto the podium soon, along with Chris McCarthy, who will be Master of Ceremonies one more time on Winter Series Saturday here at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. We'll get, I'm sure, an insight or two perhaps as the day comes to an end on that podium as well. If you want to get some perspective from the drivers on this circuit, I was down with our wonderful videographer Emilio on the early stages of the week and got some fresh perspectives from the drivers as they came out of their cars during weekday testing here at Portimão. And certainly the consensus is that this place is a spectacle to drive, and I'm sure we're going to get some brilliant racing when we go into Sunday in the 3 classes. Of course, we'll be joined by a 4th class for the first time, the Formula Winter Series as well, and it'll be very interesting to see what they do when we get to Spain. Let's have a look then at some highlights of that race in the GT Winter Series. So then as it all got underway, everybody was trying to find some space, even if that meant using the runoff area. Lots of places gained, lots of places lost in that phase of the race. The Cup Porsches, the Cup Lamborghinis, all finding each other out there on circuit. And Christian Hook closing in and passing Alex Hart for 3rd place overall. Hart, though, with what seemed to be some sort of mechanical issue, the car just not playing ball anymore. He pulled up to one side. Damir Hott really diving up the inside, briefly taking second in Cup 2, but he'd lose out there. Hubert Dometko losing out right at the line to the Good Speed Racing team for Mercedes AMG. That was for position right at the end of the race. Meanwhile, there was also, of course, the small matter of Adrian Lewandowski's Lamborghini that made up something like 5 or 6 places in 3 laps post-safety car period. But this man was held aloft. This man was first across the line. Jamo Hartling celebrating in style at the conclusion of Winter Series Saturday. And he will be delighted with his effort. I know that Kenneth Heyer for him is quite a good mentor. And those two will be a force to be reckoned with. Kenneth, of course, in the second race of the weekend, the sprint race on Sunday morning, and, of course, the two drivers sharing the car in the 55-minute endurance race that will take place from the afternoon into the evening. The drivers will, I think in large part, head just across that hill there to the Algarve Race Resort, where a lot of our teams are making home for the next few days, and that's always good when you don't have too far between circuit and hospitality area. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussions to be had among our rival competitors. There are a lot of battle packs there, as you can well imagine, with 25 cars or 23 cars taking the start, and so many of them in that big scrum in the teen positions. I suspect there are a lot of things that we perhaps didn't see over the course of that race. Without 270 cameramen, I'm not sure we could catch everything. So there'll be a lot of discussion and debrief, maybe a little bit of gossip, talking about who did what to whom after the race. But that's all part of the fun of the Gedlich Racing Winter Series. In general, the fun is in the fact that we're racing in January. That doesn't happen very often in mainland Europe, and it's something to be savoured. And the Algarve is certainly treating us well this weekend, as it will as we go into Sunday. This 4.6 kilometre circuit that I know Lucas Gajewski and Chris McCarthy have both seen up close and personal, along with our videographer Emilio. I need to get on that train at some point at one of these events and get a look at the videographer zones of the circuit that aren't public access, because judging by Chris McCarthy's reaction that you may have seen on social media as some of those cars went past him at full chat, it looks like it might be quite a bit of fun, just a hunch. I'll investigate my options there, but certainly this is a circuit that is best experienced either very, very close or indeed at the helm of a racing car. But even if you're watching us on the live stream, I think you can appreciate just how mega this circuit is. Somebody's already going for a run. Goodness me, the race has only been over for about 10 minutes, but clearly wants to get his lap in before the hospitality opens here at in the paddock. The paddock being very well served by Mick Food this year. A new addition to the Winter Series package for our teams is the option to take in food at Mick Food, and my compliments to them for some fabulous evening meals so far, as they continue to look after us here in the paddock. Chris McCarthy is probably ready for dinner soon, but for now, he's ready for the podium. Let's go down to him.
Thank you very much, Adam. Yes, we're good to go down here on the podium for the first race of the second round for the GT Winter Series. Thank you very much for those of you who have stuck around in the grandstand, and for those of you who have been down to enjoy the racing today. We're going to do it all again tomorrow, of course, for those of you who have been tuning in on the live stream. And thank you very much for those of you who've come down to the pit lane. Please give all the drivers lots of support as they come out. I think that was an absolutely fantastic race, and thankfully the conditions were on our side today. We've got lots of classes to get through, 5 this time, because we had a new class in Cup 3. So let me talk no further. Let's get straight on with the procedures and get the drivers out, shall we? Because it was a fantastic race across the board, particularly in GT3, which went all the way down to the wire as Adam Weller described for you there. So let's get our top three out, shall we? Starting with third place, number 115, Christian Hook. Let's give him some support, people. Well done, Christian. Onto the podium. You don't have to talk to me just yet. Finishing in second place, just over a second behind our overall race winner, put in a fantastic drive. Number 4, Finn Wiebelhaus. Well done, Finn. Superb drive, mate. Well done. But he's becoming a familiar sight on that top step of the podium, once again taking another win in the GT Winter Series. Please put your hands together for our winner in the first sprint race this weekend here at Portimão, Jamo Hartling. Now the Gedlich Racing guys are going to present the trophies, then we're going to have a quick chat with our top three. Danny's already sprinting round after the sprint race to get his pictures in. We're going to get a quick word with our winner. We'll speak to the top three as well. Danny's going to get his pictures, and then we will move on with our Cup 1 category once Danny's happy. Your pictures in. Guys, I'll ask you to stay where you are for a second. Stay where you are for a second. I want to have a quick chat with you. I think these guys want to hear from you as well. So, Jamo, I know the guys spoke to you down there, but I do, just while everyone can now hear you, want to give you the chance to say any thank yous that you want to after what was a great way to start the weekend here at Portimão.
Yeah, a big thanks to my team. I'm speechless. Big thanks to all of you. And yeah.
We're going to add to this going forward now with the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, we hope so.
Good stuff. Well done to our winner, Jamo Hartling. Let's have a quick chat to the top three overall. Finn, great race overall. It went all the way to the wire, didn't it?
Yeah, more or less. Just lacking a bit of pace from my side. Yeah, would be better to be in the top spot, but Joey did a perfect job. So yeah, nothing I could do.
Reckon we can get there in the endurance?
Huh?
Reckon we can get there in the endurance race?
Yeah, let's see.
Good stuff. Strong words from Finn. And yourself, Christian, happy to get a trophy. One in the bag so far. Reckon we can get another one?
No, I don't think so.
No, that was what I was expecting.
Oh, no, not for tomorrow. But at least I'm really proud to get P3 as a gentleman and the old man, huh?
And anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, you.
Thank you. I was always waiting for someone to say that. Can I have the trophy?
For sure.
There we go. Let's give a round of applause to our top three, everyone. Well done. Congratulations to the top three in the GT3. They put on a fantastic prize. Well done, guys. Well done. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, we're going to go to the Ferrari guys next, our Cup 1 class. Let's get third place on to the podium next. Number 220, Talal Sher. Talal? Thank you very much. Let's do it again. Third place, Talal Sher. Round of applause, everyone. Let's go, third place. Crowd pleaser. Well, that's enough. The podium's there. There you go. there you go. The number 3 spot, that's yours. Well done. Yeah, well, we know, don't worry. Now for second place, Motohiko Isosaki. Well done. Let's give him a round of applause. Described the track beautifully as well, by the way, in your interview with Adam Weller over there. I nearly did that earlier, by the way, as well. So don't worry. That's had 2 racing incidents now, that second spot. But the winner in the Cup 1 class in the first sprint race was number 151, John Dillon. Adding to the victories, John. Congratulations. We will get John, who jumps on the podium. Gedlich Racing come to present the trophies. Danny comes round to take the pictures. Well done to the Ferrari guys. Great to see those cars charging round. And great to see more of them here as well. 26 cars in total out there. Thanks to some extra. I'm going to speak to John very quickly. And then, guys, you can stay where you are. I'm going to have a quick chat with our winner, John. You guys stay there very quickly. John, how does it feel to get another win?
Oh, brilliant. And obviously this round there was a few more cars. Had a brilliant start. Whew, I don't know how many cars I took, but I just couldn't keep the Porsches behind. Yeah, I just got my head down, started to try and get the laps in. At one point, I think I had to defend from behind because Moto was there, and then the Porsche was slowing me up a little bit in front. Yeah, to finish P1, and let's look forward to tomorrow.
Good stuff. Well said. Well done to John Dillon. Well done to our top three. Put your hands together for them one more time. Your Cup 1 drivers for sprint. Let's give them a round of applause. Well done, guys. Well done. Absolutely brilliant to watch. Right, let's get the Porsche guys out next. We're going to get the Cup 2 drivers out. Finishing in third place was number 7, Hubert Dametko. A lot of support, love it. That side, yep. Finishing in second place was number 951, Pablo Brass. Loving the race suit, love it. Finishing in second place. But our winner for Cup 2 in the first sprint race of the weekend, number 911, Leandro Martins. Great support. And the Gedlich Racing guys are going to come to present the trophies now. Go on, Danny, go. The Rackar team on the top step of the podium. Leandro Martins, great to see him up on the top step. Beautiful looking car. Let's have a quick word with Leandro. He's got a lot of support down there. I'm sure Leandro's got some people up. No. Just say a few words for us in Portuguese.
Yeah. Ok, foi uma ótima prova. Foi para lavar a alma, porque o carro quebrou, teve aquele acidente em Estoril e para mim essa prova foi realmente para dar uma limpada na alma.
Very well said. Very well said. Let's give him a round of applause. Let's give him all a round of applause. Well done. And a new class for this round was Cup 3. Let's get the winner out for that one. It was number 32, Morten Stromstedt. Well done, Morten. Let's get him out. Well done. Congratulations to Morten. We will get the Gedlich Racing guys to present the trophy for this one. Hold the trophy high, Morten. Well done. Congratulations. Morten, while you're up here, I just want to ask you, how is it tearing round the Portimão circuit? Tell the guys down here.
Well, it's very nice. First time here, first time in the car, and first time with the team, so very successful.
Any thank yous you'd like to give?
Well, for my team Thunder, my wife who attracted me here, and my manager Diego Menchaca for getting me here.
Well said. We'll see you again tomorrow. Well done, Morten Stromstedt. And let's end with our Lamborghini guys Cup 4. Congratulations. We'll get them out next. Finishing in third place in this one was Alessio Ruffini. Round of applause as he comes out. Here he comes. Well done. Well done, mate. Fantastic job. Finishing in second place was number 177, Alfredo Hernandez. Well done, Alfredo. Great sounding cars, the Lamborghinis, and finishing in first place, no strangers to the top step, the number 6, Adrian Lewandowski.
I think it's Alessio's first race.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And we will get the trophies presented. What I've been told is Alessio's first race as well. So a first trophy by Adam Weller. Thank you there for the insight. Fantastic there for Alessio to get himself a trophy straight away. We're going to go and speak to Adrian Lewandowski, our winner, very quickly. How does it feel to get another winner?
It was okay. I mean, I tried to beat. It made the very peaceful race or something for me. And I was like, when some Porsches or something were attacking me, I just let them go and then slowly, step by step, take my places. So I didn't really focus on doing everything what I can just to be as far as I can, just to train, Enough, I had a crash on the Q2, so I want to be careful now just to avoid some other problems.
Good stuff. Congratulations. We'll see you again tomorrow. Well done. Well done to our Cup 4 drivers. They will now head off and we are going to welcome in the guys that you have been seeing on the live stream. We're going to welcome in Lucas and Adam. Come in, guys. The man you've been seeing and the man you've been hearing as well. Guys, I mean, fantastic to end the day with a great race there. Adam, I'll start with yourself. Very close at the front, wasn't it?
It really was. It's a great demonstration of what the GT3 cars are capable of when they've got quick youngsters at the wheel. Obviously, Jamo Hartling had his first weekend in a GT3 car at Estoril. Finn Weibelhaus had his first weekend in a GT3 car as we speak, but both of them taking to it like a duck takes to water. One of them from the world of GT4, one of them from the world of Formula 4, and it's really interesting to see those first steps being taken, and they're not walking those first steps, they're sprinting them. I'm very interested to see what Sunday's racing brings us from the two young Mercedes AMG pilots.
Lucas, you were out there on the grid. I mean, how is it having 26 cars out there on the grid? I mean, doing a full grid walk would have taken quite a long time.
Well, first of all, we can see that I was on the grid and Adam spent his day in the commentary box because he's here in a t-shirt, whereas I have 3 layers of jackets and the lot. But yeah, it's very interesting to see these guys. We'll potentially see them in DTM in a couple of years or in other high-class GT3 competitions, and it's always very interesting to see their first steps. And I think in general it's a fabulous grid, isn't it? With all these cars, the one-make championship cars being part of the GT Winter Series grid. Great fun, isn't it?
One more question for you both. Lucas, I'll start with yourself. Obviously, you weren't here for the first round, but of course, returning after your familiar face to the championship, how does it feel to be back and all the changes you're seeing to the series as well?
Well, it's nice to have a bit more focus on the other categories as well. We've always been very happy to have prototypes here, to have GT4 cars here, and as we've seen today, they are capable of fabulous racing. And now, because it's a bit more divided and split up, there is more attention for all these categories, divisions, classes, whatever, and that's one thing I definitely like this year.
And Adam, tell us what the things that you are most looking forward to tomorrow, I guess, from a commentary perspective.
I'm a big fan of pick and mix, as you can maybe tell, and so as such, the GT Win Series is always kind of my place to go. We got a taste of it there. It's always a scrum. It's always a scrap between 3 or 4 different types of car that normally wouldn't share the same piece of track at the same time. So that's going to be really exciting. But obviously, we have a precedent set from Estoril, a high bar for them to clear going forward with the GT4's 4-way fights for the lead. I don't think there's anything that's going to disappoint us on Sunday.
It's going to be bright and early start tomorrow, isn't it? 9 o'clock, I believe we get started with on-track action. So make sure you tune in. You'll be seeing Lucas down on the grid. You'll be hearing Adam in the commentary box. We will see you all tomorrow for a full day of racing action here from Portimão.